speed of advancing technology, another all too vital craft is left in the shadows of ancient relics. The Keymaker sequel is an innovative spiritual revival designed to awake and unlock the cosmos within by restoring the codes and commands of a vast organic mainframe that encompasses both Earth and your own personal universe. Join your host, Seven Bomar, creator of the world-renowned platforms Astral Quest and Secret Energy, for an amazing adventure in uncovering life's greatest secrets that transcend beyond time and space.
Wholeness and balance vibrations to everyone, and here we are. What an amazing opportunity and time for us all to share and to build. And the Keymakers are live and in full force. We're coming to you. It's actually new moon, lots of energy going around, and we're really here and representing that activation and that connection that we all share together. Now, today is, again, a pretty interesting day. I know you've been experiencing and feeling these last 3 days in the energy that's been associated with this cycle. So we're coming in here in full force, bringing in, I guess this would be the last new moon of the year, but bringing this in the right way, or what we say is the balanced way, with bringing in that cleansing, that refreshing aspect of looking at our existence, and most importantly, those unique keys, that real activation to what you're experiencing, which is each person that is on this platform that has something special to deliver. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into this today. We're going to begin with what we always know we should start with, which is the honoring of our ancestors, and really revealing the connection that we share, not only with the ancestors, but with also everyone else as an ancestor. And as we're encouraging everyone to raise their frequency into the total wavelength that is not only beneficial to you, but is actually the true you. This is that part of the process where we go through the stages that are necessary for us to begin to connect more, because we're already connected. So what I'm going to do first is we're going to get it started. I'm just turning this right over to Mark. As you know, he's going to bring in that deep journey, that deep internal introspection, and also get the space clear, because there's a lot going on in the space. We also have Sven, working on that hyperdimensional grid in the background, meaning that we're doing this from an entirely different level. We're going deep into the metaphysics and what we've already understood to be true. And that talks about the unique grid that we're all connected to and how we can utilize that grid to maintain balance, especially when we're looking to transcend a lot of old paradigms and also really get that healing going on. And so this is a powerful movement. Even at this point today, we had some little bit of turbulence just getting things started, but it did actually land us here, all those intentions and all those honorings here in front of you, just to be able to deliver this loveliness to these beautiful faces and smiles that we enjoy within this network. So let's get it going. Mark, if you want to go ahead and jump right in right now, it's a great time. And I'll go ahead and keep dialing in and hold that space, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, wholeness. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all. Give thanks for the moment. Give thanks for life. Give thanks for us ancestors. And we also usually have Brother Sven come in with a quick honoring introduction. I want to know if brother's still available for that intro, Brother Sven.
We can do it afterwards.
Okay, give thanks. Give thanks.
That's what, brother.
All right. So as Brother Seven brought forward, it is new moon. So this is that dark space, this envelope of the primal materia, and it is, our charge to reveal ourselves, really purify our intent, really purify and direct our will. So as we step into the space, come in with that fire, come in with that flame, bite into your intention. Get into the wheel. Get into that driver's seat. So as we close our eyes, get into receptive mode, sitting on the root of our spine at coccyx, grounded in our seat, with our palms facing up in receptive mode, receiving the energy that we share collectively here in this universal tribe, us ancestors seated. Go ahead and take a deep inhale through the nose and a deep sighing exhale through the mouth. Letting it all go. Inhale again and release. Once more, inhale. Feel the vibrations ripple through your being on the exhale. Beautiful breathing. Now follow me through the full circuit breath in the nose, out the mouth, in the mouth, out the nose, in the mouth, out the mouth, in the nose, out the nose. One more cycle, in the nose, out the mouth, in the mouth, out the nose, in the mouth, out the mouth, in the nose, out the nose. Continue this rhythmic, deep yet gentle breath in the nose, out the mouth, allowing that belly to rise and expand on the inhale, allowing it to compress gently all the air as you exhale, compressing all the air out of your belly like a bag. And as you inhale, notice that you're inhaling and enjoy that breath. As you exhale, notice how you're exhaling. Truly enjoy that breath. In this space of presence, we give thanks for us ancestors, every being here seated in tribe with us in this now moment, in these physical vehicles, yet also across time, beyond time, on all spatials. We give thanks for the earth, the stone, the crystal, the rock, the mineral kingdom, and the trees showing us there, presenting us with their consistency, their solid, stable vibration. We give thanks for the air, this free energy, pure, always available, showing us what it means to shift frequency in an instant. It can be in one moment and somewhere completely different. Give thanks for the air. We give thanks for the element of water, showing us what it means to be humble and receptive. How water receives our intentions, love. How water cleanses us always as we are, no matter our state. And how water will go with the flow, and in that flow is a great power, a great strength. And give thanks for the water within us, around us, within these physical vessels, and within our consciousness. Thanks for the waters. And bring your awareness to truly meditate on flame, the flame of your spirit, the flame of your will, The fire that burns consumes that which is dense and creates light. How the ash serves as fertilizer for new growth. How our fire connects us to our next realm beyond this plane, here and then gone again. Tune into this flame, the purification of our thoughts, of our emotions. Let this flame stir in you within your being. Feel the flame all around you, burning all that which feels heavy, dense, anything dark. We give thanks for the heat of transmutation, the heat of alchemy. How the fire takes one state, transforms it into something completely different, unrecognizable on the other side. And how this fundamental principle exists within our own physical structure, our digestive system, taking one state and alchemizing it into something completely unrecognizable, extracting energy as we break bonds through the process. So as you inhale during this new moon phase, inhale this flame. As you exhale, feel the flame expand in your consciousness in all directions. Feel this flame meet you in your center, burning from the inside out. So you burn attachments to who you thought you were. Burning outdated, outmoded forms of consciousness. Old paradigm, let it shift, burn within this flame. Inhale and release. Let's bring our awareness now to the center of this earth, coming into communion with this planet. Giving thanks for every feast, the shelter that the raw materials of nature provides, that steady foundation in this university, this earth school. We give thanks. Inhale the energy from the core of this planet up into your heart space. Exhale, feeling the space expand in all directions. Inhale down now from 36 inches above your head into your heart space. Exhale, expanding the space in all directions. Still feeling the presence of the earth, this planet, and your connection. Simultaneously inhale up from the core of the planet, down from above, meeting in your heart space. Expand in all directions. Gently rest your awareness on every being in this tribe, in this collective, everyone sitting here in presence. Everyone, hopes, dreams, intentions, acknowledging the individual growth of each budding soul along this path. How magnificent we've all met in this moment here together to share this energy collectively. We give thanks for us ancestors puncturing through this next membrane of self to further this remembering, this reemerging, this connection. Aho. As you come into the space now, just reacquaint yourself with the body. Slide into your hands, into your arms, into your fingers like gloves. Slide into your legs and into your feet like boots. To each individual toe. Slide into this neck, into this head like a helmet, a crown that you wear. Still retaining this non-attached awareness of who you truly are. Aho. Thanks for the moment. When you're ready, you may start to flutter your eyes open, millimeter by millimeter. I love you all. Love you all, tribe. Thank you for being here.
Much love, tribe, and those tuning in. Much love, Brother Mark, for bringing us into this space. We're going to bring in Sven just for a moment, or how long he wants to take, just to give us his updates and insights about the ancestors and the grid that we're building collectively together. I just also want to say thank you so much for the men, the women, the children that are holding space. Also, those that are connecting to the lines today, those in your homes that are etherically connected with this vibration, thank you so much for being present. You could have been anywhere else today. You've chose to be here to honor this connection that we have together. In addition, it's very important for us to understand that all of the true powerful works happen in a very invisible space, one that we cannot see with our two dualistic eyes, but one that we definitely can feel with our unified heart. But I always remember, sometimes we want to jump into the brain gym really fast and, get on with their riveting information like it's entertainment, but truly the connection that we're looking for is with each other. And within these meditations and what goes on in these spaces that is often not seen but felt, and the work that we're doing on the DNA with this collective universe and cosmic tribe and earth tribe, and the growth that we are having together. So thank you so much for participating, and know that this space, this time that we're opening is not linear. It is something that you can always reach and get to no matter what's going on. So I'm going to bring in our brother Sven and see if he wants to give us just some updates on exactly how and what he feels is going on in the space. And then we're going to go ahead and get into this thing like we always do about this time. Brother Sven.
Much love and honor, always, also to the family. So what I wanna share is that. Wait a second. Huh? Okay, so by being present and what I spoke about the last time when we are present, about the magic of creation itself. When we just simply create anything, then you see from the invisible plane our idea world, which we cannot see with the visible eyes. Then when we create them something and we take a picture of before and afterwards, it's as if it's as magic. When we actually make a daily practice out of being mindful and being present about these small things, it might seem small, but these are actually, they are fundamental initiations of self-awareness. And when we do so, this process of whatever we are doing, that becomes so much more powerful than when we are distracted, because these distractions are made, are here to distract us, to actually as a counterweight to wake us up in many forms and fashions. So when we create a self mantra, a mantra of not just speaking about it, and also what I want to ask of you all is that will we please close our eyes and really go into this, what I'm sharing here, with the heart, and not trying to comprehend it from the mind, and try to imagine what I am bringing over here, because we use the thought muscle. We have been using this for years, and it's too powerful. So, but the imaginatory muscle, it's a very powerful tool. It's the tool of creation. So when we start to use our imaginatory muscle, then it is so powerful. So when we create a mantra with action, with creating new habits and actionalizing them, soul habits, then we can convert, and that's repetitive, as a systematical mainframe which we put into our life to actually assist the vibe of our ancestors to run through us, because we can take monatomics and we can take all of these elements. However, if we do not train them, and that goes also for entheogens, if we do not prepare the body properly, and if we do not train the body properly, that is what we will receive. It is the more we put in, the more we shall receive. And it's with that intent and with that purpose. And that's why I call life the institute of soul seed expansion, because this is what we are. We haven't fully grown yet. And that means also that we can give ourselves the compassion and the empathy that we need, and also to each other. Because when we are going through a rough time, that is actually what we should always have in mind as a self-motivation, is that these elements of which I am talking about, gold and iridium and all of these, and the gemstones also, they actually go under these enormous alchemical processes which involve enormous amounts of heat and pressure. And so this we can see as a reflection of which we are, because we are the elements, and this is exactly what is going on with us. And to support us in this process of tuning into our soul more, with all the obstacles and with all the distractions, that is still no excuse, because it's here again as a counterweight. And the more we motivate ourselves, because we have these distraction motivators, these archons also. So we really need that self-motivation. And so when we begin to do that, supporting ourselves, Sevan talk, I am personally expanding what Orgonite is about. So I have the proof about what Orgonite does in water. So I have a freezer here, and just having Orgonite around it, it makes the water freeze into even large containers into a vortex. You can see the cone. You can really see it. And you can see the implosion of water occurring. As we all know probably that the power of frequency cymatics into water. And so when we amplify this, so when we start using phi grids, so on phi based measurements, then it amplifies it even more. And so what we can begin to do is amplify what we are really about, amplify these uniquenesses, because I feel that there are a lot of people struggling with that uniqueness part. And so to really get that out of it is we need to do the effort for it. The soul ain't just gonna give it to us. Look at nature. That's our teacher, and it explains exactly what I'm sharing here. So yes, much honor, and a whole.
A whole. Wow, beautiful brother. Thank you so much for sharing that and for giving us this opportunity and this knowledge to continuously grow with. We know that each person on this line resonates and connects with what each person is individually saying and projecting collectively. And so, this part of us coming into the realization together, I really like what Sven brought up, and I believe like it was definitely a high point for me, and just realizing that all these beautiful elements, and this is definitely I would say is what we would want to take away from the conversation today, and make sure that is on the forefront of our consciousness, and that all these beautiful elements, crystals, emeralds, amethysts, all of those amazing crystals that you see all the time are formed under heat and pressure. So that perfection for us comes in this experience that we're having, and while it may be turbulent, that turbulence is like the wholesome correction that our ancestors and our parents would give to us to allow us to be the greatest beings that we can become. And so that gives us another way of reconfiguring our thoughts and our mindsets when we're examining what we're experiencing. And in addition, there was another thing that was mentioned in our recent meeting about how we just have to make sure that we understand that we're writing this script here. We may take some strong pointers from what we're experiencing in the reality and what we see in the cosmos, but to write the story, because there's always a good or a bad part. So that actually gives you everything that you need in the script to write what you need to experience this life. So it's okay to readjust many things that people think go one way, but you've experienced something different in order to find greater comfort in your own soul and your own growth. So you have your own uniqueness in that way also, where you're able to receive what it is that you're hearing and then also put it into your own variation or variety that works perfectly and is balanced for you. And so with that being said, what we're going to do. Okay.
Brother, can I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
So it goes about our own uniqueness, and that goes into art, music, poetry, inventions, insights, imagination, all of these things, which is stored in ourselves, in each one of us. I'm telling you, each one of us has this potential. And when we are when we allow ourselves to acknowledge this connection and just put the intent into application, and then like it's just about like when we allow and when we let go of these of the mind pretty much, then these unique things happen. But I see a lot occurring that we are searching for for that uniqueness while it's already here in ourselves.
Absolutely. And also, in that same vein of energy, we're going to start today's show. Well, we've already started, but we're going to also start today's part of the presentation after our honoring, because we are now rolling into that phase. It's just, by the way, these full moons and new moons and stuff, they always have me in different modes, and there's lots that go on before these presentations. So just know that we're doing our best, and we do it in love. So what I'm going to actually begin with today is actually a conversation that I had after being extremely inspired by a video that I watched that was on Vice News that was pertaining to women and child trafficking that is still going on, and in this case, Nepal. And just such a massive energy of awareness that was speaking to me about what I'm capable of doing and what we're all capable of doing together, and how we should attach the discovery of our uniqueness and the creation of our greatest art we should attach that with the things that are equivalent to that. Meaning, if you have an immense level of power that you're looking to unlock, then you need to accept expansive mission that will be equivalent to that power. And that's what this conversation is about. So I'm going to go ahead and start that conversation. It doesn't require that we do anything but just sit and listen. Just as Finn was saying, let's, get out of that strong muscle mind that we have, and what we've built so much into our thoughts and our thinking, and just dial back and let the essence of the word connect to our purpose and to what I feel like was needing to be delivered. In fact, today, this conversation, it was so powerful, we almost didn't get the opportunity to be here. But the passageway opened up based on all the things that we're doing. So I do want to just let everybody know, like, there is some things that we face when we're working to bring this message, because there's healing going to happen, and there's changes taking place, and there's some slight resistance, which just always exists when changes are about to occur. And we work to push through that resistance in the collective state of our consciousness. So all of us just firing our focus and intentions at bringing a delivery that is as smooth and is connected, and then allowing that to push through the turbulence that we would generally encounter when working to bring this kind of balance to humanity. So we're going to go ahead and get started with that now, and that way we can start rolling into our presentation for today. And so here it is. Also, just give me a moment to cue this up. Today, we had some major updates with our equipment and things, and we do have to swap some stuff out. We have even a live performance today, so it's going to be amazingly crunk. But, we got to get the technology in line to handle that. So if you see some rough transitions, just know what's going on. So let's go ahead and play this clip and trust that it's going to play through properly, and we'll go ahead and get it started.
It's a whole different concept that we've been trained, and it's completely false, and that's what causes us in the afterlife to not have riches. Because what about riches in the afterlife? Like, forget just money on the planet. Like the movie Gods of Egypt or whatever, they at least showed you that dynamic of in the afterlife you could be poor in the afterlife. Or you could gain wealth in the afterlife by doing things that really equal value here, and it builds up in the afterlife. There are things happening in this world right now that are pretty intense based on what everybody else thinks is going on in the world. Okay, these people are the way other people live and the lifestyles they're subjected to are so different than the ones that we live every single day. Our complaints are nothing compared to what these people are experiencing. But it's just because we're out of touch with reality that we go on and continue to not realize that helping these people is the biggest key to causing chain reactions on the entire planet. And the truth is, like, when you want to go help different organizations, different kind of people, especially in the U.S., then you need the license to work with kids. You need the license and all these different stumbling blocks they put in your way, and you're even just trying to help other people, right? But here's the truth. When you use your knowledge and intelligence and mobilize something that is really going to change things, you will not only find the support there from other people, financial support, physical support, skill support. You not only find all that support, you will also find that when you move in on those situations, you've taken now the role of being the real angels, not this bullshit angel from a book, but an angel to where you amass the resources. You got the people in line because you just knew your own intelligence, and I'm going to say this really fast. You just knew your own intelligence and what you were capable of doing. You amassed the people to the cause. They gave you the finances to get the cause done, and you gave the finances or gave the process of being able to get something done for people that are really suffering, women that are really suffering, and people that are really experiencing trauma. And you have that entire pipeline and that process.
All right,
everybody
everyone,
knows
if we
you
can
do.
all be.
That's the key to all of this, because you had then done something that so many people are laying on their asses and laying into their thoughts and complaining and all this stuff that they could have done a long time ago. Most of them don't even think about this stuff. They're so busy thinking about themselves. But it's just like really showing that you can change things. With money, no one's going to say, oh, you can't give us money, or we don't need help. People need that. So what I'm saying is the game is really, the playing field is being leveled, because at least there is something like that, money, where you can go and actually change people's lives from being enslaved or being abused or all these different kind of things. Because, people have already set out to do this, but they need help. They need the help of the rest of the world.
Hey,
It's
Spin, you're
not
still
one
going to do your
person's
top on fear, right?
responsibility to be fixing everybody's problems, but it may be a few people's responsibility to actually intelligently start making people aware of the solutions. And that's what it's all about. It's like there's a way that you exist rich beyond this, and there's a way that you exist in poverty beyond this. And that's why rich people, they need to be the most concerned, because when they leave here, that extreme imbalance is going to balance it out on the other side. So don't be surprised if when we get to the other side, you see the richest people that always kept those resources and were smeagling all out and never helped anybody as being the beggars and the people on the street. And that's also time to end that cycle, right? Because then you come in on another cause and now you're helping the beggars and the people on the street. And those are the same people that were in the last lives living as the royalty. You see what I mean? So this is kind of probably why you have these people living in this kind of situation that you're probably seeing right now, is that all these women were actually a part of the ruling dynasty. It's not like you're going to see all of those women there. You're going to see their great, great, great grandmother sitting in the royal house, doing all the bouginess, treating everybody bad. Now, here's 5 generations later, her daughter's daughter is a slave. This is what we're not seeing. This is why there's a huge disconnect in how people act and what they're doing. They don't understand when you get on the other side, because all this is yin yang, but it's a bigger one. We're experiencing it in our personal lives, yin yang, but it's because the big cycle runs like that. So the big cycle plans to shift everybody from the lives they live now to the opposite life when they get to the other side, unless you get balanced. And balanced are those little islands, just on the yin yang symbol, those little islands that are in those poles that equal the balance in those poles. So if we don't balance out, meaning balance out all this energy and balance out what's going on in our own existence personally, then we'll just live an opposite existence in next life. And it's just so important for us right now to realize the power that we have, but the power that they want to take away from us, which is having us in magical emoji land and not being really seeing how much power and ability that we have is going to cost us, because it doesn't put us in a position to invest in our future. Because you can't always think about doing some things after it should have been done. It has to come from your heart. And that's the end. Like the reality is here, there's a lot of people saying they're coming from their heart, but they're lying to themselves. And it's time to stop lying. It's time to actually do something. It's time to actually make people do something. You see, that part is what you need. Then there's some other parts that you need. But you need to have a purpose. And if people don't move with purpose, it's like the way energy works. It works because it has a purpose, or it sits idle. Like, see these things plugged into this wall. If there's nothing else plugged into that to take power, it's just there with no purpose. It has 25,000 volts coming off that socket right there. But if there's nothing plugged in, because there's no purpose for it to do anything. And that's what it's like for most people. They have all this power, but they don't have no purpose. Like they say, how amazing is the human being? You could stretch out the intestine, stretch out the DNA across the entire world 3 times. That's enough to finish the cycle. What they're literally saying is you have enough in you to change the entire world. And it's just about, are you moving with purpose? And that's why you have to look at some of this stuff, realize that you're their angel. We need to be the person that she is asking for. Because she said, man, I wish somebody would. And it's not just one person's responsibility. All of humanity needs to move on her behalf and be like, because it's a hostel. It's a bunch of girls there. And it's like somebody's already trying to do it. But the lady's like, all I see is gates and fences. People can break that down just with money. You see what I mean? It doesn't even take there's people already doing it in there. They just need help. And that's what we need to realize. Like, it's not always for us to do every single thing and every single part of it. But know what we do and do it really well. Because like I said, we're living like the kings and queens. Everybody in the Western world, even people in the projects, are living on almost king and queen level compared to these people. And people around the world, they're still slaves. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. It's about realizing that we have this power. And what you're doing, and last but not least, to make it very simple, because I like to simplify things now, they have a place called Mount Meru where the whole goal was to climb to the top. They say that was also your body. We're just climbing up this mountain. And on the top is your own ship. It's your higher self. Every path that a person takes to get up to their mountain top is their own. Not everybody travels down the same path, but they all have the same goal. And on the top is that ship, and it's your oversoul. You need to get inside of that thing, download all the rest of what you need, and come back down that mountain. And that's what we're here for. Come back down that mountain. Because don't fly off. There's nowhere to go. Come back down the mountain with all that power and save these people. That's what you have to realize. That's your purpose. You are God. And that's the truth to this whole thing. And for everybody that's here, especially the people on the level that we're on with this type of intellect, that test has come. It has come because every single thing our ancestors gave us, they wanted to see what we were going to do with it. They can see us right now. We feel so isolated and alone, but this is all about us growing up and getting to the position of power that is who we truly are.
All right, brothers and sisters, I trust that message resonated with everyone that was connected to it well. And obviously this is, again, just a very powerful message from the heart about inspiring ourselves and realizing the things that we can attain in this life that are so petty can do very great things for our existence after this, because it is our memories and it is our moments and it is our collective force that determine our true abundance and wealth. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and bring our brother Isaac in. He's going to go ahead and segue into today's presentation, which is already going. And we're going to hear some very, very strong insights from the Keymakers here. This is obviously the last session that we're going to be doing before we roll into our next, because this is Afterthoughts, by the way, for those who may be confusing the two. We have the Keymaker series where we jump in and we deliver some very riveting knowledge. Our last one was Kali, or our first one was Kali. And then after that, we have Afterthoughts. And this is the time where we have to unwind and dissect everything that was brought forward. So that way we can get the clarity before we move on to the next phase. So the next phase is coming. And that, of course, is Murugan. And before we do that, though, we want to round out all of what we bought in this session. And so the Keymakers have something special to bring. So I'm going to go ahead and turn over to Isaac. Wholeness, brother.
Wholeness, brother. Thank you. Wholeness family. Want you to know we love you and we want to hear from you. And so we're going to do about 12 minutes. You're going to hear from four Keymakers on the panel. We got 4 different dissertations. These are just topics that we're moving through them that we wanted to address right off the top. And also you have 12 minutes to start firing up those questions. So we do want to hear from you. We do want your input. So as you listen, feel free to start firing us those questions. Fire seems to be the motif tonight. So let's burn, let's get lit here. So we're going to start off with Mark. Mark is going to speak on the family. Are you ready, brother Mark?
Wholeness, I'm ready, brother.
Wholeness, brother, it's all you.
Hey, give thanks. Just want to speak from the heart here briefly, because as everything that was brought forward in Savant's message just now, it's like we really are living like kings and queens, considering all of the knowledge, the information that we have accessible to us, and how we can be connected around the planet, have a support system, have all of being able to gather funds through the virtual, this virtual internet, being able to get all of that. And yet what I experience is that there's still so much complaining. And that complaining largely, especially when we get around these holiday times, is that we have to be around our family, right? So when we have to be around our family, all of a sudden the less developed sides of ourselves come forward, because in truth, it is turbulent. That is that roots first fundamental level of who raised you, and coming around, doing your growth process, going through your progression, and then coming around to the people that raised you again, your family, your father, your mother, cousins, uncles, aunts, all of that. We actually hold on to a perception of who we are because we know how they knew us at a younger stage. So I hear a lot of complaining, man. And, you know, as I do this work, I am the inner trainer. You might have seen me on Instagram. And when I get people that, you know, it's all coming from the heart. I understand. I understand the turbulence. I'm in the experience with you. I came around my family to do this healing work as well. But we got to approach it with the proper perception, because truly, this is going to be one of, if not the most fulfilling healing, to be able to go into this connection and collect yourself with the people that share your DNA, that came, that Stargate that you came in through, and who raised you at those fundamental root levels. If we can connect that and integrate it, it's everything. And so Jeanette actually has such a potent perception, such a beautiful resonant reminder this day, is that the things you do in your mundane daily life are your spiritual practice. So if you go around and you're experiencing your family, and that's when you tend to put the wall up and you're deflecting or any of that, you know, I just hear this thread of, you know, you're the reason why I can't get my healing done. And we got to be careful when we get into certain levels, into certain perspectives, because this can be the reason why we stay separate. And especially at that fundamental level, like we want to merge as a whole collective humanity. We want to merge all the races. We want to unite. We want to unite man and woman, and that alienation, and get into the family nucleus. Because a lot of us are doing this healing work, but then we look around, and then we look at home, and we realize there's so much work to be done there. So with all that being said, I just want to, you know, just hear me out for a moment. In everything that you're seeing, if you feel yourself projecting any type of blame, I want you to make yourself at fault for everything you're experiencing. Put all the blame on yourself. That was my fault. That was my fault. There was something more I could have done there. There was something more and more and more. And then forgive yourself completely for all of it. Let it all fall through. Let it all go. So that you can come to a clear perception, a space of non-judgment, non-attached awareness, allowing yourself to be the most effective that you can be. Because if you're really serious about this healing, if you're really sincere about everything that we're talking about here, connecting, merging, your parents have something for you, and you came there to get it. So a lot of us, especially on the millennials are the generation that are making less than their parents were. So a lot of millennials are moving in with their parents. And because we have access to this information, we're coming into a level of awareness, and then feeling this disharmonic frequency, this disharmonic. Now, if you're truly, you know, about your lifestyle, if you're truly about this, then it should show into your daily spiritual practice. It's not about pushing anything on anybody. It's about working with the energies of the space. If you know metaphysics, then utilize those metaphysics, right? If you can tune into the collective mind, the collective heart of your family, move that energy for everyone, for the highest possible outcomes, the most balanced possible outcomes. Once you've taken in that level of self-accountability, self-responsibility, that no matter what happens here, I'm going to put myself in the proper configuration to be able to be effective in this situation. And it requires that proper perception. What is that proper perception? Every situation can be worked with. It's don't put the limitations on ourselves. We got to get out of that old paradigm of just adding limitation. Now, also remember that a lot of those fundamental things, they're in the body. So just know that when you are feeling something, you feeling erratic, all of a sudden, like, hey, I don't get like this. You know, it's like, I don't get like this. Just, again, non-attached, let it go, forgive yourself, let it pass through. Everything's showing itself to you, and healing shows itself to you on the way out. It's not like things heal and you don't even notice that they're healing. You're going to see it. They show themselves to you on the way out. You ever heard that it's going to come out in the wash? It's because as you're washing it, you're going to see what's getting washed out. So it's just taking a moment to breathe, really be present. That should be really the first thing, honestly. If you feel the tension rising, breathe. Breathe for everyone in the room. Breathe for everyone that's not taking the breath. Breathe so that you can be the conduit where the energy flows through unrestricted, without tension. If you got to be the one to do it, then so be it. If you're the one that's holding that awareness, holding that energy, holding that responsibility. Now, simultaneously, I do understand that we are all at different levels of our growth. We are all, some of us may just be getting started, and we may need that solitude. But if you find yourself holding space for others, the ones that you could truly hold space for would be your family. So I just trust that, you know, we rise to the occasion, and that these holiday times, they are actually powerful times for the collective for a reason. The end of the year, these planetary alignments, the moon cycles, that all of this matters. Winter solstice, the sun being at the lowest, the least amount of light on the spectrum. So if you want to be present, you know, share yourself with your family. Be who you are without the judgment, without the reactionary, right? Just breathe love into everything you do. It's like, hey, Ma, here's some water. Hey, when you get that, just say love 3 times. Yeah, did you know that, you know, water can receive your intention? Yeah, just say love 3 times when you drink that. You know, just little things, man. Don't even get to you know, beating them over the head with it. So I just want to share that from my heart. I love y'all. I'm in the experience with you, and this is coming from where I am, you know, on the ground. Love.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
On this.
And the buck stops with us when we take that responsibility, and that really puts us in an excellent space to give and be love. So thank you. And
you,
how
brother,
powerful
also sharing that Keymaker love.
How powerful from the first moment I heard you say that in our first meditation, I forgive myself completely. And how powerful that is. Thank you, brother. We're going to hear from another sister. I love hearing from her. And we're going to Paige. Paige going to speak on childhood trauma, maybe with an emphasis on sexual trauma. Paige, you ready?
Yes, wholeness, everyone.
Wholeness.
So I want to talk about this topic in particular because I've gone through this. And 1 in 4 children, you know, in the United States are at stake to go through this. This could be any of our children. And so it's important to know that, you know, in order for us to confront this issue, we have to confront it from a level of understanding that no matter how difficult it can be, or no matter how shameful it can be, you have to go there in order to heal. Because if you leave things untouched, it can manifest into things that you wish hadn't have gotten out of hand. And so I'm coming from a space of love. I'm coming from a space of healing and a space of awareness. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about my story. Not going to be too long, but I wanted to talk about how, as a child, I was molested. I said this in the Keymaker series, the first episode, but I didn't mention about the fact that after the molestation, I was mimicking the behaviors of the predator himself. And so I was doing this with other children. And when I became conscious and aware of this as a teenager, I began to feel very ashamed and very guilty and just awful. I felt like a monster, and I wasn't able to express this. I couldn't trust anyone. I could not talk about this because I was aware then also of how society viewed things such as that. And so it wasn't until I was able to get to therapy with my mental health professional, so to speak, and talk about this. And I asked him, I said, I really want to know, I really, really want to know the truth about me and those behaviors. As horrible as it might have seemed, as scary as it might have been, as traumatizing as it might have been, I knew that I had to ask. I knew that I had to know the truth in order for me to move forward with my life, with my spiritual awareness, with my growth. And I don't hear too many people talk about this. I just hear a lot about them being the victim and them being a survivor. But I don't necessarily hear people talk about how, hey, this happened to me. But there were instances where I did become the other person, or in some cases, even more heinous acts where they grow up to be predators themselves. I don't hear too many people talking about that. And I want to make it clear to people that, you know, this is the other side of it. And in order for you to heal completely from it, you have to get truly honest with yourself as well as your children, and to be open-minded about what they may bring forward to you, other children that you could be working with in the conscious community, so that everybody could heal. Because again, it could be any one of our children out here. I mean, this is something that I see in a conscious community. I have clients that deal with this. I have many people on my platform that come to me about it, and I'm always open to talk about it. And yeah, so the biggest thing that you should take away from this is to know that in order for you to heal, you have to confront all things that have traumatized you. And, yeah, so.
And Paige, I forgive myself completely.
Oh,
Still
yeah.
resonates. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Thank you.
Forgiveness.
Yes.
Forgiveness.
Thank
And
you so
also,
much, Paige.
just the level of courage and connection is exemplary. And I just wanted to say, thank you so much, sister, for opening that space, especially for others. Y'all, many people on this line know Sister Paige. She has her YouTube channel where she shares, finer details of these things. And so, if this is something that you're experiencing, we welcome you to the healing and to the things that she has discovered on her path of becoming whole and complete. So it makes her a much more powerful person, because she does not have to say to a person, I know where you're coming from, but not really know. And that is so powerful and such a powerful key for us to have.
Brother Bomar, you may be
Yes.
muted.
Actually, I'm unmuted,
Okay.
but
All right.
I don't know. Maybe the system is giving up today, so hopefully, that comes through for everyone. But just thank you, sister, for what you're sharing. And so yes, go ahead and continue.
Yes. Thank you, sister. And next, we're going to hear from our brother Sven. And Sven's going to speak on fear, among other things. Brother, you ready?
Yes, brother.
Wholeness.
So, honest, to share a little bit about my own experience about fear. About a year and a half ago, I experienced a life-threatening situation in which I was stabbed nearly to death. But it wasn't about the physical part, actually, because my body didn't feel. I was immediately into a stage where I saw 4 double. But what I remember, the last things that I remember was about the inner smile, about the overwhelming cold black side of if someone has ever experienced an entheogen, then it's like La Poquita Muerta. They also call the plant ayahuasca the small death. But what I experienced was the distorted version of it, because I didn't have an inner smile, and that really mongered upon me. But at that moment, I didn't realize that at the moment itself. But later on, due to having quite an amount of experiences with entheogens, because I needed to find out, because I saw that I experienced the duat, literally and physically, and all the things of like dream worlds at the same time. What I figured out is that what we are experiencing is actually an entheogenic experience. And when we look at babies when they are being born, quite often in this spectrum, when you compare someone who takes Bufo alvarius, which is 5-MeO DMT, and you compare that to a birth, that's very similar. And so these births and these deaths, they and the life experience itself is what I am willing to state is entheogenic, because we all have, like, and I myself, I was in that frequency myself, expecting from the plants that they would take care of my problems. And later on in my connecting with my ancestors, they made me aware that it is actually my body itself, that my body itself contains all of these glands. It contains, well, our body contains all of these receptors and transmitters, which make it possible for when we dream at night. Then a good brother of ours in the tribe also is Eddie, and he speaks about also about honoring, and that honoring is when we go into the night, like a Toltec saying is that we should at least spend as much energy into the dream, into the night dream, as that we do into the daydream. That's what we do at night is actually what we do at day. So it's opposite. We live at night and we dream in the day. So, but that goes into the entheogenic experience, because when we have inner vision due to meditation, well, that's a production of some kind of alkaloid in our body. I'm telling you that all of these monks and these lamas, that they have these practices go into the growing of these glands. And to connect this with fear is, now that I am so recently also due to the new moon, I'm still having these flashbacks of what I experienced. But since the connection with my ancestors and what I spoke about earlier, with tuning into that honoring and into that allowing state, that self-trust makes my fear convert into self-trust. And that's a process. I am not there yet. I am working on this. I'm here with you, also what Brother Mark says. I'm here on the ground also. And so it's a learning process, and it's involving ourselves and going into the what that rainbow lasagna woman is explaining. She assisted me a lot though into make sense of what I'm dealing with, and that goes into like immortality, and that like to deal with the illusion of death, and to make really, when we start what these entheogens are all trying to tell us in different forms and fashions, but they are us. And when we dial into ourselves, then it's the same thing going on. It's the same voice of our ancestors that is explaining, like, okay, brother, like, you ain't made for death. Like, this is something much more vast going on here. And until you can start to accept that, well, when you start to accept that, then the flower starts to open itself. So that's what I want to share about this.
And thank you, brother. Thank you. And feeling into fear, fear in your body, that's something we can directly experience. When there's fear, your body tenses up. There's a contraction instead of an expansion. And in my body, it can be felt when I contract. When I restrict, I actually restrict the flow, and it stops what's there to flow through me.
And another thing is that when, like, the fear itself, there are degrees of fear. It's not just throwing it all away, because in these situations, actually, that was life-saving, pretty much. So those frequencies, they actually were useful in like in some, like, yeah, that's what I mean. It's perspective. It's how we look at things, and that changes over time. The more we connect and involve.
Yes, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Oh,
I like that. Involve.
And I heard that. Yeah, I love that too. We have Joy on the panel with us, and Joy is going to introduce herself, as well as speak directly from the heart, through the heart, to all of us, but also with the emphasis on speaking to the women of this tribe, of this connection. Joy, are you ready to take the floor?
Wholeness, everyone. And I just have to say, my heart is just pounding, and this the meditations are so powerful. Mark and Sven, thank you so much for that. So I'm still riding on that wave. I do want to say that I am so honored and excited to be here with all of you. I have been an ambassador from the beginning, and it has been quite an amazing journey. That continues, obviously, and grows and expands and just gets more amazing. If you have been in the women's chat on the Secret Energy Discord, you've probably seen me there. I am a true nature lover and have a connection with plants, as Sven does and was talking about. And I work with them from their healing aspect of food and as medicine. And I am hoping to weave that into the conversation today and bring in some of that really powerful, just healing energy of the earth. You know, I'm going to bring that earth mama with us today. And I really want to give a shout out to the women who are here in this community, because I feel like for me that there's been a lacking for me to find a support system that really resonates with a lot of the messaging and, our somewhat esoteric or fringe thoughts. And it's been so wonderful to be here with everyone. And for women especially, I think it's important that we make these connections. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time for yourself and space to allow you to be here with us, because this connection is the healing element. And so for me, as a plant lover, I'm a nutritionist and I'm an herbalist. And I really want to speak to this idea of finding your uniqueness. And for me, this journey is like a flower that's unfolding, and we all flowers, begin as a bud, and that bud is very, very tightly closed, and then it just unfolds, and this unfolding happens. It happens in a variety of ways depending on the flower, but we all end up as a flower. And so really all of us here today are all our own unique flower. And we are in this collective garden, if you will, of the tribe of the sun. And it is a fertile ground indeed. And we pollinate each other with our thoughts and our connections. And our flowers bloom most beautifully with that power of love that is the gift, that we've been given here on our time, if you will, and space here. So very excited to be here amongst other teachers. Teaching is my passion, and Seven, of course, is a fabulous teacher and just delivers this information to us in a very wonderful way. So thank you all for being here, and I look forward to seeing where this conversation goes this evening, bringing in more of that love and healing energetic. So thank you.
Wholeness, Joy, thank you. Thank
Beautiful. You. Also, for those that will be asking questions and calling in today, just realize the expertise that is on the panel, and take that opportunity to utilize those niches and those unique caveats of what we're experiencing on the path, because it allows us all to level up. So we're grateful to have Joy here, sharing that plant knowledge, bringing the mama in, and we always love that warmth and that connection. And so what we're also going to do, is that our, before we go into our next phase, is that our final dissertation?
That is it. And I just want to welcome Sage. Sage is in with us, Wholeness.
Okay, Wholeness, brother. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead actually and go into our break once I get a confirmation that our live performance is actually ready. And that'll just allow us to, because we delivered some stuff. We've already gotten into this, and, it would be great to sing that into the heavens, right? And then when we come forward from our I don't even know why we call it a break. Like, I don't know where these words come with a break. It's the end, goodbye, divide. When we come forward after that, then we're going to go ahead and get into this wholesome collective build and start taking those questions and see how much healing we can really get out today on this new moon. So let me just check my lines. And as I said before, we do have some queuing up and things to actually do. And actually, I will give a brief introduction here. We're going to hear just some amazing, heartfelt, truly divinely connected tunes, tones, energy, and vibrations from our sister Naya. I've known Naya for almost 2 years now, I believe, and just watched the budding process, as Joy says, just an amazing being, unfolding her uniqueness in so many ways and being gifted with this voice box that is truly divine, and also a consciousness that is utilizing that to bring the highest frequencies of what we can articulate in words, so, and tones and vibrations. So just always loving that and loving that connection. So just again, give me just a minute and I'm going to check that out. Isaac, if you want to give any final pointers, you can, and I'm going to get this thing queued up.
Yes, and this is going to we're going to continue to set the tone for this space that we're in. And there is one question that I'll address myself, and if we still have some time before Naya and others want to jump in, then lovely. But the question is, where are these spaces where people practice love and they share and the healing is? Where are these gardens? And we're in that garden right now. There's other gardens, but we're in one right now. So we're seeing something coming through with a lot of the questions right now. I won't highlight it yet, but this is the space for that love, and we're going to actively practice it as we share, and we're going to heal together tonight. So are we about ready for it, brother?
I'm just waiting for one quick text. You might have to fill that in with a few more words.
I can do that. Yeah. brother Mark.
I can come in real quick on the
Sage.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Just on the idea of where those spaces, I mean, they're constantly being created by those who seek them and by those who have the vision. And by you asking that question, you do have the vision to create that space for yourself as well. And so as we all continue to co-create these spaces in our communities, in our environments, and on the internet as well, they will begin to coalesce to find those meeting grounds. And so our space will meet your space, and it continues to expand in that very organic way. So it's really a beautiful process that we're in. And every day, every year is getting better. And this next wave of children, I mean, they are the space as well. They hold it so heavily. It's beautiful, or so lightly. Yeah.
Yes. And what is amazing is where those spaces intersect and where the ripples go. To share a bit of my day today, I woke up in the morning to a message from our sister Jeanette, essentially saying, hey, all of our quote unquote mundane everyday life is actually our spiritual practice. That's what I woke up to, and I woke up to it. It came through the technology. But it rippled out into my organic existence as I went through my day with that most resonant message, and embodying that perspective became my being. And I could share specifics, but every single person I came in contact with, it was a handful today in the flesh, became that space where we both were open and a lot came through it. And through that open connection, came everything that we're talking about as far as love, healing, and sharing. So it came freely, and it's always available to us if we're available to it. Brother Mark, did you want to give us a little bookend?
I did want to say that love, that garden is within you, and as you continue to water it, you'll become more and more aware of the love around you. And it's truly a space that is unseen. And love is a connection. It's certainly a force. And when you stand right in front of your beloved and you just witness what's coming through without trying to deflect, look away, break eye contact, you'll feel it. So I give thanks for the connection in this love. So if you're looking for love, speak it into your life. Like, man, give thanks for the moment. Like as I said earlier, just say, love to the water 3 times. Just give thanks to the computer for working overtime. Oh, never stop it. Give thanks, because that's definitely a lot of silicone, a lot of quartz crystal chips in there that definitely get in charge. So everything that we're doing, speak love into your life, and you'll witness how it's alive, because you spoke it into it. You infused it with it. These bodies were infused with our spirits. So when you keep going with that, you'll find that you're creating that fertile space for love to exist in your life. So now, if we're also talking, where can I find a physical space where people will have that open-hearted love? You got it right here. We got it in the secret energy chat. Definitely get connected. The moderators will drop that link in the group, and we're always supporting each other, and so that we could stand on our own. Because we truly care, and we're got our feet on the ground, as I said earlier. So, man, just know that the love is coming from you, and the love is, man, fulfilling. It's so fulfilling when you witness the energetic connection in the fertile fields that are created and accessed, always available, but creating our access to it. We creating that bridge by speaking it into our lives.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're gonna just touch a few questions.
Yes, well, just for those, our live performance is getting themselves together, because we actually did plan to take a few questions before we had that live performance, so they went under that pretense. So we're going to go ahead and start taking some questions, and then we're going to smooth into that is the moment that it's ready. So I'm going to turn it over to Isaac, because he's handling that for today. Thank you, everyone.
Yes. And so just a little heads up, Paige, we want to probably come back to you if you have something for this, but give thanks for us really setting up this space very intentionally with love. We've said love so many times, but every time I believe it's really filling this space with that full spectrum love before we go into this, because there's a lot coming through about trauma, about childhood trauma, adult trauma, full spectrum trauma, and forgiveness. So people are asking, how do you remember trauma? Some of us have forgotten or blacked out what we have experienced. And giving love, sharing love, it sounds great, but how do we actually gain access to that trauma and get to the root of it, to really start healing it? Paige, did you want to come in on that?
Yes, yeah. Yeah, a lot of that has to do with the subconscious. Some things are stored in our subconscious mind, and our subconscious mind is very powerful for what it can do. It can suppress memories that we just don't remember. Anything that could be traumatic to us, the subconscious mind compresses it so that the conscious mind is not traumatized by it every day, every waking day. You're always thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, and you can't operate throughout day to day. But the subconscious mind, compresses it. You don't think about it, and you operate day to day, but it's still there. And subliminally, it'll appear in your relationships, how you function day to day with people, how you function day to day, how you carry yourself, all of that stuff, your diet, it shows up in those subliminal ways. And so a way to actually access the trauma that has happened to you is to access your subconscious mind. And one thing that you can do, you don't even have to go to like the therapy or to see a mental health professional. One thing that you really can do is, one, to access it through meditations. Also, ask your subconscious mind, because it's very powerful. Ask your subconscious mind, I want to reveal to my conscious mind what has happened to me, things that have happened to me that are very traumatizing to me or detrimental to me, or that has impacted me along my journey. Just to ask your subconscious mind, I want to know, I have the desire to know, so that I can heal myself as well as heal my DNA, and so on and so forth. So if you don't remember, it could be a subconscious mind issue. And again, a way to access that is, you could. It's as simple as like making a list. It really is. When you're online, a lot of us are seeking to spiritually awaken, and some of us are already awakened, and many of us here on the line already are. If you get 10% of this information, you're already there. And so, I mean, simple things such as like making a list. I really want to know like what's going on with the trauma. Was I sexually abused? Was there any violence going on in my household that I was exposed to as a child that I wasn't quite aware of that is still impacting me now? Or, any type of things related to that, and so on and so forth. And then, as time progresses and you spend more time seeking the truth, watch it unfold, you know. So those are simple things that you can do that doesn't take a lot of heavy, hard work, such as going to like finding a shaman out of the blue or, things like that. You can do it yourself.
I would also like to add one thing to that, just because I did have a note for today. Just some small notes, actually. There was like 3, and that really touched on one of them. And it was one, recognizing within all of us, this entire network within each other, recognizing that there has been an atrocity, because even outside of child abuse, children have been abused just in what they've been enduring in society from a simple Disney movie. Like if you watch what happens in a Disney movie, several characters that the child is identified with has already died by the middle of the movie or had some kind of trauma themselves. And this can lead to somewhat virtual PTSD and emotional issues within children that don't even have, let's say, a physical origin, but could have been because you let them stay up late at night and they got a good whiff of Freddy Krueger, like what happened to me. I'll never forget coming down the hallway and all of that. And these kind of traumas are traumas that we often just push right out of the way, like, it's not as bad as, or I didn't experience. And these are still things that need to be unseated, because oftentimes, let's say if we get into an amplification of frequency, and we can do that in many ways, sometimes we face those things right away immediately, and they have a tendency either to bring down our high or introduce something into that ceremony that is not necessarily welcome in that space, but that is the purpose of ceremony, because you can move it out of the space. One of the things that we can engage in now, and what this note was pertaining to in relation to the atrocity, is that we heal the atrocity by working with others that have experienced that atrocity. And what I mean by that is just very directly, people don't heal through traumas and generally until they talk about them or talk them out, or often discuss them either with someone that has caused that trauma or is experiencing that trauma. But just being able to come out is a key component in the healing process. So it's important for us to see that healing processes are in stages. So you may be at the 5th or 6th stage, just to put a number on it, and somebody may be at the 1st stage. And what that means is that means that oftentimes you have this ability to go in and start making repair, and then, but in that moment, you're able to see even yourself and see even small, minute details like, oh my goodness, I still do that. And I didn't recognize that is from the trauma. So once again, healing atrocities, being there and knowing, okay, I've grown through this to a certain point where I can start engaging with others that haven't even reached this stage, is a perfect way to get the full 360 of the experience and to be able to walk through it in power. So I just wanted to make sure that I made that note, talked about that notation, just because I felt like it was there for a special reason. We recognize the atrocities that has happened to humanity, but we also work in dealing with others that are experiencing that, so we can grow further in our experience. So I trust that makes sense.
Yes, brother. Yes.
Indeed.
And,
thank you for that.
And maybe just to round it out, I feel like it really was addressed with what you said, but maybe this bookends it for a moment, what we're speaking on. It very much resonated with me when you put it in that perspective of how we heal this trauma is when we actually start doing something about it. And it's not just your trauma, it does dial into a collective trauma. And it's very easy, especially in your mind, to start looking at all of the injustice in the world, you know, and getting sucked into that, um, you know, because we are feeling creatures, we are emotional, you know, emotional humans. This question is essentially saying, you know, forgiving self and forgiving others is great, but when there's no justice, how do you regain your self-esteem? Now, you know, it's easy for me to say, well, is justice what your self-esteem is dependent on, or is your, you know, self-esteem connected to your uniqueness, your action, and really being able to give the love from that space of your uniqueness. But I did want to open it up and just see if we could maybe not conclude, but give whatever needs to be given while we're speaking on trauma. So I don't know if it's going back to Brother Bomar or if it's going to Holly or Sage on this.
I'll have a very, very brief comment on that. And that is, in the forgiveness process, utilizing empathy and compassion push you into a space where you seek less justice and more healing for the person who committed the atrocity, because you will begin to see that the person who caused the harm was hurt themselves, and that's why it began in the first place. And that's why we're in this loop of you hurt me, I hurt you, you know, and it keeps going. It's a cycle. So the justice, I understand because I mean, it sucks that it happened, but at the same time, we're all hurt children trying to find that peace and resolution at the end of the day. So.
You got something for us, Brother Mark?
Yeah, I just want to say, like, it's so important to recognize where we're going with all of this. Like, we're really steering a massive ship. So who we need at their post for all of this? Like, what is the purpose of forgiveness? It's so that you fly light. It's so that you can be non-judgmental in your awareness. And we're gonna need that in every moment as we deal with greater and greater atrocities, as we deal with greater and greater causes that affect more and more people. So bring in the justice, bring in the healing. It's about us being effective as possible, and we got to come with balanced perceptions, clear perceptions, and that is the true purpose of forgiveness, so that you can be in it all the way and yet not attached to it, so that you can get on your way with your own personal progression. So just know that as we connect deeper and deeper, it's so rewarding at the soul level as we move on, and as we go through everyone that we've touched, everybody's heart that we've connected with, and as we move on, those connections stay true, and what is real will remain real as we move on. So just tuning into, you know, why would I need to forgive myself again, so we can fly light, so that we're not carrying extra weight. It's not about just letting people off the hook for it. You know, we're bringing things into balance, so we're balancing those energies anyway. But you, as your at your post, you know, when we need you whole. And somebody carrying a lot of weight is that's just something that'll always come up again to be dealt with at another venture. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. And you know, I want to hit one more, really, to, you know, it's easy for us to say these things, and I know something powerful is about to come through with this one, and it might be more directed at Brother Bomar, but essentially the question is, give me one moment, I want to get this word for word because this one is charged. Okay. How does this love help us in the quote unquote real world? Like paying rent and bill collectors and dealing with this idea of white supremacy everywhere you go. I kind of I want Bomar to come through on this one, please.
You know, first and foremost, you know, just in concluding on what that previous question was, is first to realize that no one has the power or needs the power to give you a pass to move on. it's important that, you know, we all realize that there is a character type, which we looked at in enealogy, that actually is more prone to that. And there's other character types that are not. So meaning there's a character type that feels like if someone has done something, then for them to move on, they need to get an apology. But that is also the same character type that feels like if they do something, they need to get recognition. And all of that is really a slippery slope and a flaw in the character type. When we work to create the perfected human within ourselves, we learn that no one actually has enough power to hold us back, and no one really has enough power to give us the path to move on. And when we do that, it's like if I said, well, we need the Catholic Church to be removed before we can move forward. Now I'm basically waiting on our diocese and the rest of all of that they set up to be out of the way before I can move on. So what a horrible mess, because I probably will be waiting hundreds of lifetimes just to learn the lesson that no one has that power and that ability. But we do get that as you're going through the process, there is that twinge of needing to get that clarity. And this is the advice that I will give to you in relation to that. Now, the person saying, what can love do in this reality, especially when rent needs to be paid, bills are coming through and all of this kind of stuff, I will say everything. Because when you're going through all of that, if you let it get the best of you, then it has turned your strongest power against you, meaning that you can get really beat up in there if you feel discouraged and down, the bills are coming in, and it's just going to keep rolling. All of us have been through that. It's called the vicious cycle, where at a certain point, the deeper levels of the darkness that we enter are surely perpetuated by our own consciousness, meaning the actual depression, and which can also even lead to thoughts of suicide. So we must realize that, first of all, what abundance is, which we talk about in the university, that abundance is not necessarily having a bunch of money, but if you have your health, if you have, you see where fruit trees, you know, they have their fruit. If you have your knowledge, all these things are forms of abundance. Even being able to produce children is yet another form of abundance. But as the person is bringing up, in the reality, many of those things are not directly equivalent to actual money. But what is directly equivalent to actual money is your current, basically your overall energy and your demeanor and vibration and frequency, which is a direct reflection of everything that you're doing in the reality. So just see it as simple as this. If somebody was able to help, or you were able to move yourself into a space that is greater than where you are, imagine that nothing in that space would really want to connect with you in that vibe or frequency. So many motivational speakers always talk about how you got to put yourself into the mindset of where you want to be in order for you to attract that to yourself. So this is the same principle, that we definitely need to see that our vibration is our resonance. And even if you have to, and I'll use this term lightly, artificially assimilate another level of vibration, because sometimes when you're seeing it all going on around you and it just feels like it's all falling apart, you still have to be that one to bring in that beam and that ray of light into your own situation. So you got to call it in. And this is the power that you actually have, which is to change your vibration. Because seriously, despite what a person is experiencing, if somebody dropped off, let's say financially, somebody dropped off $1 million check, then the entire demeanor, the vibration, and the frequency changes. But we can actually see that as such a petty move, that our vibration and frequency can be changed by such inanimate objects, right? However, in all of this, like that's why we put in vibratory energetics for those who want to check out that, realize that what you're experiencing around you, whether you've adapted to the mindsets of the racism and, you know, what quote unquote white people are doing, or quote unquote black people, or whatever your disposition is, as you're tapping into all that, you can feel through common sense what kind of energy all that has coming off of it. And no matter what another person says about what justice needs to be had, just like we were talking about in the beginning, now you're waiting on someone else to relieve you and let you go from this trauma you're experiencing. You have the greatest power and the control inside of your body. But you would realize at a certain point, though, that a lot of this stuff is connected to actual things that you're doing, music that you're listening to, pictures that are hung up on the wall in the house, ideals, your everyday things that you're doing in your idle time, as was talked about earlier today. All these things equal a certain vibration. So just like the scales that have to be raised at the end of the lifespan, you have to be able to do that at every single moment and bring death to things that are not serving you, and life to things that you really want to enjoy. And know that that guides your frequency. You have this clock, last but not least, because some say that I did that already and I didn't see anything. Did you do it long enough? Because Earth also consists on a time scale that just because you think about something, it doesn't happen right away. Imagine if it really did and the disasters that we would be in. So it does have that lag that needs you to push the consistent type of energy, just being consistent until that vibration completely fills that cycle, and then it starts coming around in your life. And that will be the procession that you have within yourself. So just remember that these keys that we're delivering right now are keys that we have used to turn the locks in our lives that have held us back and held us down into false beliefs about what really controls wealth, abundance, etc. So that's what I have to deliver on that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And yeah, love is not always easy. love is not easy. So
Yeah, for real.
we're not necessarily talking about the easy thing here.
Yes, because and that, you know, not to cut you off, but that is a major point. Hating something is like sliding down a hill. In most cases, it's easier to do that. It's easier to, I can't believe they did this. And there's so much of it. And especially when you get trained to do it and you've trained yourself to do it, it just comes so fast. But remember, taking that higher road equals the higher vibration, equals all of the things that you're looking for in the high vibration. And understand it as simple as that. Like, you know, I don't want to get long-winded about the question, but this is, you know, like a two-part question that actually all stems into the same thing about self-correction, about how we see the reality developing.
Yes, and that's what I'm here for, is that higher road. And you know, I suspect that maybe if you're here, that ultimately that's what you're here for as well. And we spoke on it earlier with Mark, his dissertation. You know, I summed it up. The buck stops here. Okay, so if we want to continue the cycles, then we can not take responsibility for any given situation or moment. But maybe if we do want to start creating some new potentials, then it might be the difficult thing, but ultimately the best for not just you, but everyone that you're connected to, and everyone that we share this collective with, to really take that responsibility. And the buck stops here. So we are going to take a caller. We're going to switch gears a bit here. We're going to bring in caller 3, and heads up, family, I might need to unmute us all to do this, to unmute the caller. So after I unmute all, then mute it up so that we can have a nice clear sound. But caller 3 is the name is Uriel, and I don't know about this, so I hope someone knows about this. They would like to ask about the Lillian Force. Caller 3, Wholeness.
Wholeness Tribe, how are you?
Amazing. Thank
Doing
you for
great.
being with us. Yes.
Awesome. Good to hear. Good to hear. So my question was, it just happened September 30th, 2 years ago. A friend of mine got in a car accident that resulted in the death of the other person. And I found it very odd to happen, especially to a very humble individual. I had looked up the astrology of the day. I came across supermoon, black moon, which led me to Lilith, the archetype, and a lot of energies associated with it, to mythology, culture, theater. And I found that the entire incident mimicked the archetype's portrayal. And I found it just more than coincidence, as we all know. It's not. But I just want the tribe's filter or understanding of what they see that force as. I've also come to the femme fatale and the Venusian, and I heard briefly on one of Savon's, not sure if it was the Keymaker series, but he briefly tapped on Lilith being the dark side of Venus, which intrigued me. So I guess I just want a little bit more info on that, if possible.
Absolutely. So, you know, just the Lilithian force, which is it's Lilith, actual term, actually refers to current that is also present on the planet. Just as we see different activities happening on the planet, you know, what we would say is good and bad, those forces all come from, let's say, well, all those forces come from different beings, let's say in this tense, all of us being in the same body, but just like we have bacteria and we have different things moving through the body, there's different forces. So the Lilithian force is actually the force attached to division or dividing or cutting or splitting something. And this force is often used within, let's say, the darker magic practices, or let's say the evil practices. I'm trying to get my words
I found
straight
that
here.
to be, yes. Yeah.
And this is because, and this is something that's big for everybody to realize on this conversation today. No matter, if it's your study or if it's something that you're even practicing, you can also bear witness to this, that in these dark books, which there's quite a few of them, there's thousands of them to be exact, the overall goal within the book is division. And
Of
this
course.
force, whether it's to
Which,
divide men from women, or to cut lives apart, or to take friends from, apart, and all these kind of things are all coming from a certain kind of essence or force. And also,
okay.
just to be clear, to identify the Lilithian force and where it all coalesces and where it comes from, is also to remember that it's really also attached to abortion. So it is in respect the sad side of a woman's advent into the planetary system, because women get abused, there are atrocities, there are things that happen, they can become very bitter and they can become very angry. So all of that energy coalesces in the Lilithian force, if that makes sense to you. And so that's the
It
force that
does.
they're drawing on, because that's like a vessel full of pain, fear, that can only bring division into a situation, and then that vessel is dipped in and then used in order to bring about that same effect or energy or vibration.
I see. It makes sense. The experience and the division part. That friend has completely divorced from being my friend. And as much as I wanted to say, hey, there might be something behind this force, it might not just be, an accident that just happened. And I myself do not practice any kind of division practices. I'm here with the Wholeness Tribe, and I plan to be as long as I have a thought and breath in that.
Wow.
And so. Thank you again. That's much appreciated. I understand it fully. And if I could add one tiny question, add on to the same concept.
Sure.
I am an artist and I paint as well. And I wanted to understand some of these forces a bit more. So my own conceptions create an art piece in which I've come across, I believe it's the Spirit Science Institute you shared a while ago, where they talk about spirits and the way they go into lower dimensions to dictate, entities and beings. And I was wondering if that at all causes any negative impacts. I guess let's just say, that sounds very cutthroat to say just negative impacts, but in general, I've painted the Lilithian force, and I wanted to see if maybe that's something I should be taking care of in some form, but I try to express it in a very balanced and beautiful way.
Well, first and foremost, just to clarify that, I think that was the Spiritual Research Foundation and not so much as Spirit Science, because those two can be confused. And this is just
of
a
course.
website
Sorry
that we
about
found.
that.
Well, just for the listeners, we did find a website that was on the internet of people that are in India that work directly with attempting to move, negative forms of energies and spirits from around people, and just kind of giving data on what they don't like and what they kind of do. And in that process, here's what I'll tell you, brother, is, sometimes we have to become the masters of this, and definitely not the victims, or and this is because when we see something happen where a person is detached from the earth, we always have a saying, and we say the world was not worthy of them. And, I still hold to those principles this day, that, if you're saying that this was a person that was already in themselves gentle and peaceable, then in that kind of consciousness, you actually have a great deal of completion. So also there are master lessons that are taught when a person is removed from the reality, whether it's to their family, their mothers, people who have also done things to them, people that never were able to say certain things. So there's just so many things that happen. But one thing that you can ensure is that force of division, it only exists here. And we're working to break it down more and more rather than build it up. So even conversations about, battling these entities and destroying them and all that kind of stuff seems a bit immature in these days, since we've gained so much power through the faculty of regeneration and love and connection and overall full spectrum vibration, which works far more
Definitely.
efficiently. So what we see, again, if we identify Lilith as Kali and we bring her into that role, what we find is a force that
Ah,
needs to be developed and needs to go through that process of healing. And that actually is centering around this conversation. The divine feminine is very involved in this conversation today. And we have to realize that, again, those energies of even the prostitution, even all those different things, they coalesce all in one point, and they do need us, men and women, children alike, because we have some very gifted children to begin to go into that vessel and not abuse that vessel. Because just as Paige was pointing out today, that many people who have actually experienced something also tend to have a tendency to actually begin to do it themselves. So maybe a lot of those same people that are practicing in those dark arts of division is because they themselves have been divided, and they want to feel like they're stronger than the force somehow by aligning with it, when truly what needs to
I
take
see.
place is the overall graduation of our consciousness as a collective body, to take these, let's say, as below variations, as we know the ultimate aspects of the Lilithian forces, for her to be nourished into the Saraswati side of her own consciousness. So it's getting us real in the
Ooh.
field, so you can actually say, hey, I experienced that in real time, versus like the book aspect of things.
Yeah.
So that's what's up.
Oh, thank you, brother. That shed so much light. I have that question mark just turned into an exclamation
It's a
mark,
little,
and
it's a
it's
green
wonderful.
check mark, like ding. Okay, we good. So stay connected, brother. We're sending positive vibes that way,
Yes.
and as we keep going, we're making that connection of breaking down that rift between life and death.
Yes. Wholeness, Serial.
Wholeness.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Also,
Thank you.
maybe Joy has something to say about some plants or something that, if there's some healing and things, there's always, others that have different perspectives on this, but we want to use that all to build a collective response. So,
I would like to talk about the forgiveness that we had mentioned earlier. A technique that I use, which the plants, of course, we'll talk about too, but the forgiveness piece I really wanted to speak to a little bit more, because I myself have struggled with forgiveness and trying to get my head around it, and what ultimately really has worked for me is when you view the energy of the trauma or our conflict or our anger or whatever it is that the negativity that we're experiencing, our body is holding on to that energy, right? And as our body holds on to this energy, it is not healthy for us physically at all. It manifests as tension and can manifest as ailments. And so when we speak about people needing to get it out, it is this energy transfer that needs to come out. And if when I began to view that, really I was able to take responsibility for my own forgiveness and understand that I have to release that from myself in order to begin the healing process. And that it really, as I think about another person, some restitution happening, that just takes the power away from my ability, as everyone has said today, and how important that is.
Wholeness.
I'll share that.
Thank you so much, and I really just want to give thanks to this tribe, to this connection, because we're in the thick of it right now. But we're in it together.
indeed.
We're in it together, and I feel so supported by my sisters, by my brothers, and I just want to give thanks to this tribe and this connection for that. Thank you.
All right, we give thanks. So, without further ado, our sister is ready to bring these beautiful vibrations to us, and we're going to sing this healing into the cosmos and collectively vibrate. And as we said, we're it. Like, if we don't see it going on somewhere, we started it here, and this is the most powerful thing because it's connected, and we don't want division to exist amongst us. So we are looking to remove it entirely. So let's do this. I'm going to go ahead and take a quick moment to go ahead and do this transfer. Actually, we're going to bring Naya in. I'm going to maximize her screen, and she's going to go ahead and get ready. And then we're going to go into this. After she's done, we're going to have a few short commercials, and then we're going to go ahead into our final session of taking and wrapping up questions. So let's see here. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, Naya, if you can hear me, then you can actually turn your video on, and then I can actually grab your camera from there. All right, just give me 1 second, everyone. I'm just going to make sure that I have every view that I need here. Okay, everyone, we're going to go ahead and bring her in now. The suspense, it's making me sick. Okay. Also, a few announcements for those that heard that message that I put together earlier today in relation to, being that healing. I will say for sure, if you know how to animate that kind of stuff, not like animation like cartoon, but add, videos and things to it, especially stuff that doesn't have copyrights over it. We're always looking for someone to take those kind of recordings, which are short and 10 minutes, very impacting and powerful, which we always have going on in this conversation, and being able to turn those into some visual presentations and actionables, because of course a lot of people like to get information through that video and that visual cortex. So it is just a moment. We're having just a little bit of technical scenarios where we're going to get Nia in. She's going to be here in just a moment. In between then, I can actually also take the time to let everybody know that, well, there's just some updates within the network. We're obviously moving into, and there's going to be some new people on the line today, so it doesn't ever hurt to let everybody know exactly what we're doing. OHMs are now live. This is the first set of our integrations. There's quite a few things that are in there. You can now share and earn. You can do lots of things inside the platform now that actually not only give you the recognition, but really assist us in boosting things. And how we compensate for you for that is giving you OHMs. OHMs are redeemable for any item inside of the store and eventually into fiat when we finally get a chance to make that stage. But it is an opportunity for you to come in and to do things. We also have our affiliation going really strong. People are doing stuff inside of that, like we talk about getting out of the cube and getting into yourself, and Sovereignty 2020. So we have Nia on the line now, so I'm going to go ahead and bring her in, and we're going to go ahead and enjoy this. Again, thank you so much, callers and listeners, for your time and your patience. So just give me a quick second. I'm going to go ahead and maximize the screen here. All right, and let me go ahead and move us out the way. All right, let me see here real quick. Let's do this. That way you're not seeing our faces of amazement over here. And yeah, so Nia, if you want to say something, I could do a sound check with you real quick just to make sure that things are coming through clear enough.
Okay. Checking 1 2 1 2.
All right, great. Okay.
That's how they usually do it, right?
I know, right? So that's what it is. So you're coming through loud and clear. And as I said, audience, we'll actually go ahead and share some links that have been provided. This is Nia. She's not only an ambassador member, but also a very beautiful soul that is here to grace us today with some pleasant melodies for our consciousness that vibrate what we are bringing today in relation to this unity, and also giving us the ability to ride that vibration into the cosmos and make it happen from multiple levels, this vision. So Nia, you could go ahead and take it any way you want, anywhere you want.
Awesome.
Wholeness.
Wholeness. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Savan. Wholeness, everyone. Greetings, peace, and blessings to all of you. I'm so honored to be here, honored to be sharing this space with you. I'm thankful for your life. I'm thankful for your presence again. As I sing, I want you guys to really join me. If you want to close your eyes, if you want to keep them open, but really bring yourself in a space of your inner verse, to feel yourself, to understand yourself, and to give yourself, pull from the well of your innermost being and pull from that space of love, unconditional love. Tonight I'll be performing a song, Butterfly. But before I do that, I want to remind you of something. I am love. I am light. I am pure light. You are love. You are light. You are pure light. So that's a great space for you to be in, because that's what butterfly is about. It's about opening your wings, breaking out of your cocoon, finding yourself again, and allowing yourself the courage to soar, to be your truest self, and to take flight. Because often we can stay in our cocoons for so many reasons, and we never really get to see the space that the divine has for us, which is true bliss. So this song was inspired by unconditional love, and so I share it with you. It's Butterfly. I hope you enjoy. Over and under and in between, I feel my heart always racing. Butterfly, spread your wings and fly, remind me. Butterfly, spread your wings and fly, remind me. Oh, your love runs rivers through me deeply. Your love, it reminds me that I'm complete. Your love, simply stated, it feels like home. And your love, simply stated, it feels like growth. You remind me of my authenticity. You remind me that it's always me. Your eyes, they tell me such stories. Your voice sings me melodies. Lullabies, you sing me lullabies. I love you. If never another time where I would find you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for loving me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for seeing me. Butterfly, oh, it's time. Oh. It's time to spread your wings. It's time you felt your wings. It's time you find yourself. It's time. My heart is beating so fast. That song is so special to me. And it's actually the first song and the only song that I've really had produced and published. So I'm really thankful to be able to share that with you and to share this space with you.
Well, we love it, Nye. We want more. That's just not enough. I mean, can you got anything else? Well, you got a lot, but I'm not sure what you feel comfortable with. But we could really enjoy one more if that's possible.
I'm gonna probably flow. So I'll just, I never really know what is going to happen in my freestyles. I never really know what I'm going to say. So I just trust the divine to flow through me to communicate a message that's for me and for anyone else who may be on this line that the messages resonate with. So I'm going to choose just one of the beats that are in my queue. That's a lo-fi vibe. And I hope that you guys can join me in this space. And again, this is a freestyle, so just be patient with me. You're unfolding, this life is unfolding, yeah, and you show up now, you show up now, oh, you gotta pull from yourself, oh, you gotta come on to yourself fully. You gotta show up fully for the path of truth. Oh, it's the path of you in this life. You got to lose your fear. You got to take the stairs so fully. So trust yourself, love yourself, show up for yourself now and always. Cause it's you and you, it's you and you, it's you and you, it's you and you always. Step out of the delusion. Step into yourself really, really strong. You got to trust the path, trust the divine to know it's on time, cause you're always on time and it's always aligned, always aligned, always aligned. You got to trust that yourself is always aligned, you're always aligned, you're always on time. Your light is flickering. Do you see your light is flickering inside? In your inner verse, you got to look for your light on the inside. That's the only place that you'll find yourself on the inside. All right, that one cut off on me real quick.
I know one thing, they don't got nothing on this over at Funk Flex. They ain't doing it. Beautiful.
Should I keep going?
Keep going. Let's keep it going. Let's sing it all the way up there. One more flow.
All right, one more flow. You got to face the fears, so you got to face yourself, oh, you got to see it all melt away. Cause your true essence, it's arising now as you step outside the delusion now. I've been waiting for a while to get here. I've been waiting for a while to look at myself and stare at you. I've been honing in my truth. And you gotta find yourself too. I keep talking about coming on to yourself, collecting yourself, finding yourself, cause it's the truth. Cause you are nowhere but here. In this present moment that we're here, you'll find all of you. And I think that is way too often that we find ourselves elsewhere. And if we can really collect ourselves and bring ourselves back home, we'll find that we are everything that we've always seeked, everything that we've always been looking for. A well of infinite love, infinite bliss. I'm thankful. Thank you for sharing this space with me.
You're so welcome, Naya. Thank you so much for bringing your beauty, your love, your essence, and you know, that divine feminine spirit, which is so needed and so wanted and cherished. And wow, you know, what can we really say? So what we're going to do, everyone, is we're going to take a moment and we're going to regather the Keymakers, and we're going to come in on this and get ready to go into our final stretch and bring this new moon in like it should, you know, because the new moon came in. Wow. And I'm like, come on. Is it new moon, full moon? You're looking at stuff's not working. You know, the energy just feels like, it wasn't like anything really going on in the reality, like good or bad. It just had like a tension there. And, you know, and that's all that pent up energy. And we now have a formula for taking that energy and catapulting it to amplifying it, like our brother Sven says, you know, taking that phi and amplifying each other's uniqueness. So we're going to put the stream on hold real quick. You're going to see the start stream hold screen. Then there'll be a little bit of commercial from our sponsor. And then we're going to go ahead and come forward with our final session. So see you in just a moment.
completely false, and that's what causes us in the afterlife to not have riches. It's a whole different concept that we've been trained, and it's completely false, and
Wholeness and Balanced Vibrations. I'm here to talk to you about something amazing called She Legit. Now, all of us are looking for more energy, more potential, more strength, more intelligence, more knowledge. But where does it come from? Why do we feel depleted? And it's because the body functions just like a battery. When we charge up, we also discharge. And this means all of the stuff that goes on in our daily lives, if it's pulling on us, if there's wear and tear, if it's hot, or if you're exhausted, then all of those minerals inside of your body are depleted. And then what happens because of our food, there's not much minerals there. And then if we're taking like minerals from the pharmacy, those particles are way too big to even get into the areas that we need them in. And that's what makes She Legit so special. This is not something new. It's actually ancient, and it's known by different terms. And the importance of this She Legit is it has fulvic acid that allows these minerals to break apart and to go into the areas of your body. Your body is like a periodic table, and many of those shelves in the periodic table are empty. You can have over 80 something minerals in your body in a form in which your body can actually assimilate, so then you can charge back up, and every single thing that you want to do in life, you'll have the current for. Check out She Legit, see what it can do for you, and get with us today. Let's do it. All right, family. So we are forward now, and I wanted to send wholeness. We are okay. Here we go. All right, there we go. Okay, so there we go. The keys are going in the locks. Just give us 1 second. Here we go. Okay, let's get it low. I mean, all of us obviously there was a party. Let me see if I'm even broadcasting. Yeah, I'm broadcasting. We were partying. It was lit. The sun was out. You know, one of the things that I really, really felt intuitively, and I'm for those on the line, I am moving the screen around a little bit. I felt intuitively that in a time where, you know, that same old new moon phase, right? Like, I mean, I love the new moons and the cycles and earth and all that kind of stuff, but I will say some of these celestial bodies be bringing in some interesting energy, to say the least. So I felt that. I felt that turbulence. I felt that downslide and other parts of the experience. But I said, you know what? And when we got together, we all agreed that we would bring it like it was full moon, straight 2012 lineup, straight axes are pointed, Earth is on no wobble, like every single thing that we could think of to celebrate the day after Ascension on a day where that energy is not necessarily supposed to be coming through. So we're bringing it. We're coming into that stage of awareness that we are the celestial bodies, and how we act and how we shine and how we even reflect is going to determine what the weather is. So with that being said, let's go ahead and keep it going. Tribe, what's up?
What's up, wholeness? And
Hey,
I remember
wholeness.
one of those CDOS powers that we went through in the Kali episode was, essentially we're not under the dominion of these celestial bodies either at the same time. So definitely feeling that, and just so happy that we're all in this together, no matter what's going on inside or outside. We're about ready for caller 4. Caller 4 is Sam, and Sam would like to know how to connect with society or reconnect with society as an introvert. Wholeness, Sam, are you with us?
I am here, yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Floor is yours.
Essentially, like he said, I'm trying to reconnect. I'm a hardcore introvert, extreme introvert, and just being around people, whether or not they're into this sort of knowledge or want to understand more about where they come from or why they're here, it's just me breaking out of maybe a secondary shell, or I've just created an extra shell around myself to keep me from communicating with certain people. Yet we all have this information deep down. We all have a part of us that really wants to know why we're here, what we're doing here. But I really just feel just a disconnection from society as a whole, like going to work and not being able to hold a proper conversation, because I just get stuck in my head and start thinking, oh, wait. And I just start thinking too much versus relaxing, allowing, and being present in the moment. I was also spoken to about me having a lot of pain in my pain body or my shadow self that needs to be accessed and transmuted, so to speak. And how can I access my shadow self, like a meditation or something to show myself this opposing aspect of me?
Big question, brother. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for this opportunity to, I mean, even more than an opportunity, just this moment, man, for even coming out your shell to reach out and make the connection with us. You know, it takes courage. And I give thanks for, man, you just sharing that with everybody on this line. And hey, man, I started out very, very introverted. It used to be just me and the video games till 5 a.m, man, when I was in like, 10, 11, 12, 13. And what it really took for me was a way to get grounded in the body. And it took that level of taken everything I've learned about knowledge. I've always been a consumer of massive information, but it definitely can be a implosion type of thing where you don't really integrate with anybody around you because you can't really find a collective, that resonance or that relative, like what are we really vibing on. I will say though that we all share these bodies, so finding the way through the body is a way to really get yourself grounded in the moment. So I want you to see that shell that you spoke of. I want you to see it like an egg, and the egg is real tight and it's incubating. It's getting hotter and hotter, and you about to hatch. So get into certain breathing techniques that get you into that primal state of self where you just start to let go at that physical level. If you've tuned into the university and the tantra and breathing, we got the bow and arrow, we got the master's pose. The bow and arrow for me just created I could feel those sheaths, as you spoke about the pain body, on the other side of that is the bliss body. So when you tune in and you break out of that body, you check into that next sheath. It's right there for you. It's always available, always accessible. So I also want to say that we have this awareness of our spiritual awareness, which has everything to do with our existence beyond here. So while we're here, it can be kind of, what am I doing here? And I feel like we have that going on a lot. So I've always wondered, like, man, who's got the manual to this whole thing? Like, we got all knowledge. We've been at it. We got all this technology. We've been at this for so many millennia. Haven't we gotten it already? Can we figure out these bodies already? Like, what is this whole thing about, right? I feel like that's what's our common resonance, why we even go deep into this frame of things, because we're looking for the truth. Like, we should have gotten it by now. With all of our potential put together, we should have gotten this by now. So we do have some knowledge, right? So we do have life paths, understanding the physical vehicle and the smaller self mind tendencies, how they'll tend to play out based on your orientation and the alignments that you came in. I wouldn't attach yourself to the identity of these paths. It's just understanding, well, when I came in at this certain kind of slant, this is the way that, if you can identify that you're, acting in those ways, you're like, okay, so that's what's going on there. Because I'm sure if you're in a certain space and it's not bringing you fulfillment, it's just some type of learning so that you could understand that kind of space, and then get beyond it. So just to summarize again, brother, get beyond that shell. I want you to see it as an egg. It's not a bad thing. It's more of a perception thing. Like, okay, I'm within this shell, but that means I'm incubating. I'm going to hatch. Just trust that you will hatch. And the more pressure and heat you put on it, as Brother Seven said earlier, that's the alchemical process. And just know that you're speaking to somebody who is highly introverted. It might not seem like it right now, but I was highly introverted. Like, it was really just me, my books, and my video games. When I went to school, I would go to school, sleep, and come straight home. The only other thing that I did was baseball and some football. But even then, it was like I'm in and I'm out. So just know that there's definitely that next side of self that's very excited, very ecstatic, and it's a space of energy. It's accessing your own energy. So access your own energy by getting beyond the body, brother. I really would highly recommend some sort of breath work that could get you beyond that sheath, that could break that barrier, break that bond. And it comes from deep inhaling, in and out, in and out, in and out, and then the big draw, hold, and then just keep going further and further and further. And you'll find yourself at another level of relaxation that you're talking about in the present moment. Because we can be in the present moment with others, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll always know what to say, right? It doesn't mean that language is still going to be the best way to connect. So when you're finding yourself in that moment, it's just about tuning into your excitement. Like, what do you want to talk about right now? You know what I'm saying? How do you want everybody to relate to you? So allowing everything to kind of just crumble away a bit, because you've trained yourself to do that. All of this is training. We haven't been prepared to even be in these flesh suits. We haven't. So that's why the reality is kind of doing it for us, but in a very, it seems like the integers are like spread out across the whole reality. When you just want it all in front of you, you can make sense of it. Okay, I'm at this stage. This is where I'm going. So this is what I need to learn. So if you had to summarize it right now, it's like, okay, I'm in my shell. I'm refining myself. I'm putting the pressure and the heat on myself. I'm learning more about what I'm uniquely suited to do. And I'm trying to get beyond myself so that I could connect to others, because there's actually a sea, an ocean of energy. Everybody's sharing it. Everybody has uniqueness. And every time they add it to me, I feel more lifted up. So that's where we're at. You know what I'm saying? So just keep going, brother. I feel you. I felt you 100%. So I'm sending you much love and wholeness.
Wholeness.
That's
Thank
fire,
you so
bro.
much.
Man, love.
I think I could add to that too. So, me being like a serial introvert, I'd be like serial introvert. Just love to be, to myself. My mother, she's a Cancer, so she was always like kind of like overprotective. So she always made like our environment really comfortable. And so, but I knew that I would have to, of course, grow out of that and be able to interact with people and, just go day to day and talk about the things that I want to talk about. And it got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm kind of feeling like introvertedness is kind of trapping me. And so I found out that the internet is a very beautiful place to connect with people that are just like you. You would be amazed to find that people in your community that are right next to you are there and you can reach out to them online. And I mean, some of the people that I've met like in person, well, met on the internet, I finally met them in person because of the synchronicities. We connected online. I'm like, man, I finally got a name with a face now. I met you here at this place. And when I got tired of not having people to reach out to or hang out with or whatever, I turned to the internet. Like, look, I know y'all feel me on this. Let me go ahead and make a video about this, or let me make a post about this, or whatever the case may be. And a lot of people reached out and was like, yeah, I feel the same way too. I feel this, I feel that. The internet is a really great place. Also for like, if you want to just get out there and like meet people that are just like you. If you've heard of meetup.com, great resource for meeting people that are just like you, depending on your likes, your interests, things of that nature. I also made a meetup group too, like it's called the Collective Consciousness Inclusive Group. And so it's in Chicago. And so we'll meet up, to talk about the stuff that we all talk about in the tribe, but we're just in Chicago. The tribe is worldwide, but this one is for Chicago, so you can, if it's you, you can decide to make your own meetup or whatever the case may be, just, reach out to people on the internet. I mean, you'll be amazed to see that some of those people that'll reach out to you are in your community. It might be your neighbor. You just never know. You got to get out the house.
I love that. I love that because you could really tune into your edge. Like you could say like, hey, I'm really uncomfortable, but I'm going to set up a meetup group and you just be real transparent about it. Like,
because
hey,
we like the conversation even now, because it's like everybody can relate to that. It's like
1000%.
even now the society even kind of promotes that. Like you go to the gym, you're like, hi, and people are like, and it's like, okay, I guess I need to chill on that, So, but beautiful, just beautiful page. Also, just those on the ground recommendations.
I add one quick tip, just like a daily practice that I've done. I'm also very introverted. I'm still transitioning out of that phase. It's a fun process. Making eye contact when you walk around places. I'm smiling at strangers, just trying to connect while you're moving. That way, there isn't as much engagement and commitment to the interaction, but you're still connecting and opening yourself out to people around you. So that's one thing I've been doing as well. So, yeah.
And hugs every day. On rising, give a hug, get a hug.
Yes.
Let the body relax and receive that oxytocin and know that it's love. It's that, again, that physical connection that you can't even speak it. It's just like, it's done.
Yes, absolutely. And once again, family, we're not always talking about the easy thing, especially when it comes to connections. So, and just a real quick piece for me, coming from the last 2 years of really being an explorer of the nonverbal connection and all the other ways that we connect besides words. And I was getting real comfortable in that nonverbal connection space. And I was on this talk is cheap. This talk is cheap was kind of in my head. And that's right around the time when Brother Bomar said, oh, by the way, you're my co-host. So we're not talking about the easy thing. And sometimes these difficult, uncomfortable spaces or situations or states are really just the opportunity for your next level up, your next stage of growth. So wholeness, brother Sam, thank you for being with us. And maybe you lean into that pain, that discomfort and there's a wealth of connection there for you. So wholeness.
Wholeness, Brother Sam.
Yes. And we're ready for another caller.
I
Should we go in
now
on this,
activate rapid fire.
Rapid
Because
fire.
somebody in the chat is going to do it if we don't do it. I'm gonna have to have like an emoji or a gift or a sound effect or something like that for rapid fire. Let's get it going.
Let's get it. All right, so we're gonna go to caller 5. Okay.
We got 10 o'clock, by the way, so my time. So that we got half an hour.
Okay, let's
see
do
what
this.
we can get done.
We got 3 callers that are queued for us still, but we're gonna go to caller 5, and this is Christopher, and we never know what is being triggered within someone or who, maybe it might be you or something that happened. So this is a very very pertinent question here. His topic is, how do I help my sister heal from childhood molestation? Because he is an actual trigger. Wholeness, Christopher, welcome.
Wholeness, love, balance to everybody. Honoring the divine feminine tonight and everybody in this collective. This is truly an honor to be on the show. Bear with me. I know Savon just said it's going to be rapid fire, but and I'll try to be focused here. But yes, going back to the question, that's my experience. I've been on this awakening now for about 2 years, and my life has changed dramatically, and my eyes have opened so much. I feel like a baby in all of this, but I'm very thankful that I found you guys, because there's massive things that are going on in my life, and just being empowered from these traumas. It's just been, I can't tell you. I could tell you all night, actually. Are you guys still there?
Yes,
still there?
Okay. Clean audio.
Okay, so okay, good. So my sister has been through that, and I noticed recently it came up with my brother. In my family, one of the things that happened was when this was going down, I had seen things when I was younger, and nothing really. I was putting the pieces together as I got older, because I wasn't ever really felt like I wasn't really getting the truth from my parents. And, I've seen some things, and it didn't, as a child, not being exposed to, or not having a lot of experience in the world yet, the things that I saw, I wasn't able to really comprehend. But as an adult, as I started putting the pieces together, everything became more clear. And my family was trying to push it off as, she's staying up too late, and she's just going, all of a sudden she's gone crazy. And now I notice when I'm with her, it's very difficult for her. And I feel like because she actually was such a beacon for me when I was younger, going through it, a lot of trauma at home. She was always having little family meetings and bringing everybody together. And she was just so loving and amazing. And then I just kind of watched that go. And it was very difficult for me, because I actually realized I need to save myself. So at an early age, it was like slow motion. All of this stuff was going on. There's all these things that I didn't know that I came privy to now as an adult, because she did try to commit suicide. And she was just really, we were Jehovah's Witnesses. So we never going to counseling and all that was always frowned upon. So anyways, my question is I guess, how can I know about helping through me being my best self, but is there anything more I can do to really kind of help her? Because I see she's actually gone back into the hospital recently. And I feel like I actually found a sister that through 23andMe, I never knew I had. And then I kind of presented that to her. And then I feel like that kind of set off. I'm feeling like it kind of may have set off something. And now she's in the hospital again. And I'm just staying away because I feel like I just feel like that's the right thing to do.
You know, first and foremost, I would like to take a moment to clear the space and to, to align with the ancestors and the energy that is present within the tribe, the divine feminine masculine, and concentrate that energy on your intentions and on her behalf, because that is what it's for. And, when we get into attempting to offer solutions for these situations with our brains or within our minds or within our knowledge first, then that means that we have accessed the wrong tool as far as its order. So since this Keymakers has been put here to begin to mend and heal, that was the whole reason why we started this journey. This is really paramount, even that you're bringing this in and being able to articulate it so well, of the awakening into an experience and, the pieces being put together, because this, atrocity, which we recognize, is in kinship to, in many ways, the experience that many members of this tribe have had, if not all of the members in the tribe have had, even through birth, of coming into a situation that we're gradually becoming more and more aware of just the amount of damage and just the level of the realization of the situation that has taken place and what must be done to truly rectify it, and also the mistakes that are made in utilizing advice and tools that have been given to us to attempt to fix something that may in themselves be just last ditch efforts or things that haven't been thought through very well. So I do want to bring first, just a slight correction to just the awareness that, yes, humanity has been running around for thousands of years, accumulating exactly what we're standing on right now. And meaning that I want it to be very clear that this is something very different happening that we didn't see in the past and that wasn't formed with humanity as of that period. And even this internet, which has brought even us together on this phone today and has inspired many to come out of their shells and bud, this internal network, whether we utilize it in its as below phase with all of that is dealing on that level, or we take it to the height, which is what we're doing right now with it, it's unlocked something brand new. And so rather than attempting to offer a multi-layer solution to something that I think someone that is very qualified to deal with such things can really start taking a look inside, and first looking into you as the person or the liaison of working as the intermediary in something like that, looking at you to fortify you properly since you have set out that intention. Because obviously in going into that situation in respect for it, in respect to the energy and the magnitude that is present and that is distorted and needs its perfection, you would know what is up for the challenge. And this, in what you're up for is what I'm saying. And in this, you will find your purpose. Does that make sense? Because we're not talking about something where we can say it's everything is possible. There is no problem that didn't exist first with the solution, meaning that the solution always exists before the problem. We see that in so many micro ways. So, but the actual solution, just like the Keymakers are solutions for many things, it has to be equivalent to the problem, at least. Right? And so we can arise that intention within ourselves and start making that connection. What I will personally recommend, and then I will turn it over to the Keymakers, is to think of environment, because even when you're saying now she's in the hospital, I'm not aware of, your financial status and all these things. As I said, there's many things that any person that could professionally speak on what you're dealing with would need to know before they can start making, real direct suggestions. But overall, what we've learned is that the environment is so key to our health. When we can't necessarily get a response from someone directly through their minds, their bodies can still be healed by coming into other environments or changing the environment that the person is in, because obviously a hospital is no place to heal. And getting her into nature and into those kind of environments is probably going to bring much more of what you're looking for to the stage that she'll be able to reach this lifetime. But again, these are suggestions that, again, I would need, a deeper thought, but it's definitely something just coming from the heart. And so Keymakers, you can do your thing.
Yes.
But I'm sure you resonate, brother. How do you feel about that?
Well, we're going to let it breathe for just a second, because you went to the heart of it, from the heart. So definitely wholeness to you, Christopher. If there's no one on the panel that wants to bookend that, then we're about ready to move.
I would like to add something for the brother Christopher, that observing where your role could be in this, and it can be really easy from that level of compassion to try to fix everything. But if you can allow her to, really see where she's reaching out for the help, if she's asking for help, because where she's asking, that means that she's willing to receive you. So a lot of the traumas and damage, it creates a pattern where someone doesn't trust or receive. And as I heard you mention, like, you're triggering things in her just from your presence. And so it may be just simply a man that loves her, and that's creating a trigger in her. So in these spaces, I just want to honor, if you can see where the resonance is right now in his natural state without you trying to do anything, where is the path of least resistance? If you can tune into that energetically there, brother, then I trust that that's where you'll be able to meet her with the least amount of resistance. Because I know in your love, you wanna bring her to herself in that space of wholeness. And for that, she will have to, trust you and where you're guiding her. And that trust can only be guaranteed with the receiving. Where is she receiving you? So really felt for you, brother, and I'm sending you so much love.
Yes, brother. Yes, and brother,
we send you love, brother.
So much love. Thank you, brother.
And you love.
I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the level of shadow work, really, that is happening here in the garden this evening. And I really believe that this is what the divine feminine presence allows us to do, is a safe space to be able to go into these dark spaces that no one wants to talk about. This is the ugly underbelly, and it is present in all of us, and something for all of us to be dealing with. This is mama with the mad child, the child who's done something terrible, who still can love the child because of that we all hold this, right? Our hearts, they break and they mend themselves over and over again. This is what we are able to do with this love, this gift of love that we have.
Thank you so much for that piece, Joy. Because maybe there's not anything to figure out except just to be in our heart space and to hold them in our love, and maybe trusting them in their process, their journey. Thank you. So glad you came in with that, Joy. Thank you. All right, y'all. Well, we're ready to move to caller 7. Caller 7 is Brandon, and Brandon would like to know how to share all of this information, and I would say to share this connection with peers in the music industry. And we had Naya with the fire earlier, and this just got me excited about all things music, especially music industry. But yes, Brandon would like to know how we can share this information, this connection with peers in the music industry. Wholeness, Brandon.
Hi, how you doing? Wholeness.
Thank you.
I'm sorry if I sound a little nervous right now. I'm very excited to be on the phone with you guys.
Oh man.
So I just wanted to know, like, 7, you were speaking about having a trade and basically implementing this knowledge into your trade, and mine is music.
Like I've been making music since I was 14, and I've always had this drive for it. And in that drive, I've been able to connect with a lot of prominent stars in the music industry, and I've been able to produce for them. And I don't really like the messages that they're presenting on my songs now, because I've come into that awareness and, learning the knowledge and everything. So I kind of want to know, how do I shift that? Like, how do I talk to these people and how do I change that? Like, try to help them learn basically everything that I've come into the awareness of learning. Because I feel like if they can sit here and be like, yo, pop this Zen or pop this lean or do all of this, and people can listen to them and people can and they're influenced by it and they love these people, I feel like they can, do the same thing and be like, hey, take some shit legit, put it under your tongue, try to, different things to just shift the minds of the young culture, it's, I really just want to know, how do I just teach them or try to share this with them? Because I text them all the time. I'm around these people all the time. We smoke, we talk about different things, but it's never anything about this. It's never anything about just raising the vibration or teaching these kids something better besides just doing lean or doing Zans or, killing people or etc. So I just wanted to know from all of you guys, what could I do to kind of help them or just change the frequency or,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can talk about that. First of all, Brandon, I just love the question. And I love the honesty. A lot of people don't really know this, but music is my gift for sure. I've been doing music since I was probably second, third grade, and I've still been doing it, and working on something like that consistently for years requires dedication, talent, a gift. This is a calling, and so that's the same for you. 14, you probably over the age of 24, or probably in your 20s or maybe even 30s, who knows, but it took a while.
24.
Okay, beautiful. So you've been working at this for a long time.
Yeah.
I created content a long time ago that just was music industry ready. In fact, I had a song that I did with Anderson .Paak's primary producer, and he absolutely loved it.
That's
and
awesome.
at the time he was signed. Yeah, he's still signed to Aftermath. But I was, after a while, when I started to come into consciousness, I was like, this song is a hit, but it doesn't resonate with me. And I would hate to be known for this song. You know what I mean? I would hate to be known for this song. Now I mean, man, I come into consciousness, I'm like, oh man, this is a hit. Everybody likes it. And everybody did like it. But I was like, no, y'all, this is, now that I know what I know, what's going on in this industry, oh hell no, I can't go that route. I gotta go another route with it. And so even me being in college and making music and stuff like that, still I begin to feel very, not with my back up against the wall, but I began to feel very challenged, because everybody around me was talking about the same thing you was talking about, Brandon. Drinking lean, popping Zans, smoking weed, excuse my language, bitches, hoes, all these different, things that we like to associate with the music industry, especially rap music in particular. And I'm like, there's no substance to that. There's no stimulation in that. There's low vibratory frequencies in that. And it's hard to say, well, it's easier to say, well, the music is terrible and it ain't worth nothing. It's terrible for you, but nobody's hearing that. You know what I mean? They'll look at you with a fluoride stare and be like, shut the F up and walk on about their business. You know what I mean? But the easiest thing for me is to, be attentive to them, be sensitive to these individuals. Like Seven said, the reality is that Gucci Man needs to go on the cleanse. That's what he said. Like, the reality is that Gucci Man needs to go on the cleanse. A lot of these rappers need to go on a cleanse, and you share your message of consciousness through the back door, not necessarily showing them a whole video or a lecture, with a bunch of, or just a bunch of deprogramming within like a 5 to 6 hour lecture. Nobody's going to watch that off bat if they've been programmed. You know what I mean? But just little bits and pieces here, could definitely help. Also, learning how to tap into your own creative genius with some of these artists, as well. Like learning how to, okay, instead of sending the beat, how about I try to tap into my own creative genius and probably rap on it or sing on it or do whatever myself.
And
Or
and also even just directly, because when we're looking at what it is that the people in the industry are attracted to the most, it is the lifestyle, it is the money, but it's also the heavy levels of addiction to drugs and sex and partying, and then that is the mode of life. But one of the things that we should look at is like, what is the ramp up process between a person, whether as an artist, like if you're behind the scenes and you're trying to, let's say, convert other artists into doing positive music, but what does that start off like? Because let's say a person just gets saved in Christianity and here they come, oh, y'all need to be saved. How does that really come off to anybody that's completely on another frequency? They're like, yeah, whatever. So the reality is that how you ramp up something like that is look at what Meek Mill is doing now. I mean, I see that as personally a perfect ramp up process from where things need to go by first making statements, which I felt was very powerful, that there is no dope dealer or crack dealer or any other dealer that has or has made $10 million that is not in jail or dead. So the idea that you're going to even be able to buy this Ferrari and this big house and all this kind of stuff is completely false. But notice how you believe that. And he consistently said 2 or 3 more things that just really cracked the pavement on that whole paradigm. So instead of, let's say, going and try to convince other artists like, hey, we need to do this and change this message, he's doing something that's causing more ratings and fans. And then all the other ones are like, now let me do my little interview. Yeah, this dope thing ain't. Because that's how it really works. Big ship, small rudder. So still remember, this is a real deal thing. There are Kabbalists in there. There are people who have different types of vested interests. There's entities that need to be fed, etc. So to bring a complete revolving and to something like that, then they would have to see it in you, and it would have to trend in you. And so that name Brandon, when they hear it, they would say, oh, okay, this is what it's associated with. That's what changed the game or changed the industry. But I will also, just like we just put in a help desk article very directly about this in relation to the music industry and what it's under, versus also understanding that many solo artists, right, being concerned about everybody else, many solo artists have been able to take a new lane and start being able to develop their music and do other things with it. And then we'll see how that industry really is able to turn itself, and that's what it is. So if you're talking about somebody specifically, when you say, how do we take this person and, transcend what they're talking about, I have access to them, that's an entire matter. And so if that's the case, I would definitely recommend, contact and support, and we'll get more direct with the situation. So I trust that gives you some good input on the subject.
Yes, Brother Brandon, and thank you for being with us. We just want to say wholeness to you.
I definitely appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
No doubt,
Yes.
wholeness.
Wholeness, brother.
Thank
Wholeness, can I add a quick little piece of that? Is
Of course.
Yeah, man. The producer. You said you're a producer, right, Brandon?
Yes, I'm a producer. I've produced for. I really don't want to name drop, but
No, that's all right. I was just trying to understand your role in the music creation process, because there's so many different roles to play. So, the producer really sets the environment for where these artists live in. So you set the stage, man. You know what I'm saying? Like when they come in, I don't know if you do the engineering as well, but let's say they come into the studio, sage upon entry. These are the vibrations that I'm holding. You know what I'm saying? If we're smoking the cannabis before each pull, we do an honoring. That's something I learned in St. Lucia from the Honorable Priest Kalash. Before each pull was an honoring. So bringing this level of sacredness into the practice where it's the as below. We have the as above concepts, but how does this be grounded into the reality? People feel it when they see it, you know what I'm saying? And when they see you live in it. So it really transcends. And then finally, as a producer, understanding frequencies, harmonics, and the deeper science of the, you know, the wavelengths and how they all interact, you could really become a true scientist about this. And man, and that craft is quite limitless. So I just wanted to share all those, Brandon.
Wholeness, yeah. Thank you. And I'm very excited about this next caller 6. This is going to be a beautiful, beautiful finale to our callers tonight. We have Cliff, and Cliff, it's a very interesting question. So I'm interested to get into this, but the question is, how important is imagination to find acceptance and to forgive your enemy? So with everything we talked about, I love that we're coming into acceptance and forgiveness, and then sprinkling in a little imagination into the mix. Wholeness, Cliff, thank you for being with us.
Thank you guys all, and gals too. There's a point that we all have to accept about ourselves, and that's a fault. So just as the brother was saying, you know, he allowed those people into his presence, you know. Now that's one thing, or dynamic. But why did he allow those into his presence, you know? And that's really probably his greater question. And a lot of that has to do with, in my opinion, you know, my humble opinion, what has been in our past. These are stored repressions and memories and emotions that we didn't correctly process and experience at the right time. You know, that's not a hindrance. Again, is anybody hearing me right now?
Yeah, we hear you, brother.
Our lines are just
okay. Yeah. So his question was like, you know, he's like, oh, they're drinking champagne and blah blah blah, you know, that kind of thing. If he can still hear, I don't mean to downplay his experience, but I think we all experience that kind of level of a degree where we have to literally forgive our enemies. And that's really hard because, you know, it's like someone punches you in the face. It's like, oh, that hurt. And then how are you supposed to forgive that person? You know, like, and I'm using that metaphorically, but that's what has to happen. And for me, I was built like with very, very strong, you know, like pick up that weight and, you know, carry them, you know, them rocks. And I played sports and, you know, did that kind of thing, but it was a detraction from the healing process that I needed to get into. See, people a lot of times don't realize what they're actually doing because they don't realize their subconscious programming that's kind of like leading them, foreshadowing them. You know what I mean? And so in that sense, I think a great key is to say, or to find that place within oneself where it's like, okay, this guy's coming into the record studio and he's just all crazy and like he, you know, has a gun and like I feel this guy's pain, right? For example, that last caller, like I feel his pain. Like he's like, I don't know how to get out of this, basically, you know? Well, it attracted to him. I really believe that, you know, and I think it's because of unhealed traumas. I'm not saying there's perfection, but I think that in order to really grow, one has to be willing to find out why the hell they got themselves in predicaments as such. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in that sense, you know, it's really tough and it's really hard because people will ask these questions, these defining questions like, I want to know, but that's after the fact. You know, it's weird. It's weird, like yin and yang. They have to almost just like retract and ask why they would even ask that, you know, fact or question. Like, why would I ask that question?
We honor the
You
space.
know what? You know, I'm asking this question. Am I asking it outside of myself? Like, hey, could you tell me what the color?
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a moment to center ourselves and to actually answer the direct question. So you know that way you know we can bring some resolutions. Isaac,
For sure.
Isaac, if you want to go ahead and jump in and just allow us to clarify the question, and then we can, you know, definitely bring
Got you.
some guidance.
Got you. So, in like one sentence, why are you asking? What question are you asking? First off, please.
What does it take to heal oneself? It's kind of a rhetorical question.
Actually, it's not.
Oh.
And I'll just.
It's
I'll
not, right?
you know,
Exactly. I said that's why I said
actually,
it's rhetorical.
Yeah, actually, it's not because you know if it's a one-liner because that's kind of coming from obviously the brain
Yeah.
is like just wanting one answer, and that one answer was actually given, right? Totally forgive yourself, and that's really what we're saying right now. But somebody was saying earlier, simple, but it's simple and easy, right? But definitely not something that you have to constantly do. Balance is something that you constantly have to maintain. So this is after Judgment Day, I would say directly to everyone, you know, that running around and not knowing anything is all a product of attempting to understand something rather than just letting it be, letting yourself be. You know, the brain gym is getting a bit old for all of us, like trying to learn more, but not really going anywhere. But it's really starting to summarize as how do we connect with others? Can we actually connect back into those true faculties that are the essence of us? Or are we going to go through the process of activating that again? And that's what we're doing. We spent a decade going through that step-by-step process of really getting answers to these questions. But also, it's brought us to a point where we understand that the space has become so concentrated with real essence, like divine feminine, divine masculine. What does that really mean? Honorings, what does that really mean? Connecting with nature, what does that really mean? And instead of like trying to process that from the brain gym, actually going out there and doing it. And I would say for sure that one of the biggest advents that many people, especially that live in the States, because I spent, you know, pretty much most of my life in the US, they owe themselves, like if you find that there's a stagnancy with trying to heal yourself, like through the books, through the mental stuff, you have a perfect opportunity for a master healer to move in by just taking the time and going, maybe not to just nature in your area, but try something like Costa Rica. Try something where the flora and fauna is so dense that you come to recognize a deeper level and answers to the question than anything that could be transmitted to you on a radio station will ever be. Because that's actually what we did first, and then we just came here after that. Like, I could tell you the truth that I saw a totally different way once I took the space and allowed something to just soak in that didn't have to do with everybody else. So I would recommend this to you in this stage and asking that question, because just like we breathe in and out, because you sound like a leader to me that now needs to know their path of leadership. And that means that you got to go away and cultivate that real side of yourself. And that is going to come with nature. I mean, no, it's just in a quick assessment of looking just through the timelines and seeing you there. It's like what you're asking us is answered when you take yourself out of the space of all these walls, these blocks, you know, the cinder blocks, all that, and then get into nature and connect with yourself. So that's what I have to say about that. You know, I just really feel guided to tell you, brother, to go out there and suck up some of that essence and put that environment around you and allow it to answer those questions.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, just to hammer it home, we're not talking about the easy thing in any of this. And, you know, I'll say it again, the buck stops here, and it starts with taking responsibility over yourself, over your own inner space. So I hope that spoke to your heart, Cliff, not so much your head. And I understand that head talk, but I hope that from our hearts to yours, it really spoke and dialed in directly to that frequency of heart. So wholeness, Cliff, thank you.
All right.
Something, Savon.
Oh man,
No?
you're
Can
more
I
than
say one?
welcome, brother. Go ahead.
Can I? Hey, I just ordered a bike.
Well, there you go. Now
Good timing, man.
you're on your way.
I li-
Get that
I live
problem.
in Colorado. I work very hard, for the health of all mankind and my job, my career. And yeah, I ordered a bike. And so what you said was like, go back into nature. Like, I go into nature. Thank you.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and make sure that the space is clear so that way we can do what we have to do and what we know we must do with our ancestors just to make sure that we stay on track, especially since that pathway, as I said earlier, we're all headed towards, which is up and into our oversouls, going through the proper healing process. So when we get in that space, we can handle that energy. There's no leaks. Then when we activate that space, we're coming right into this again, full power to find, as Mark said earlier, the as belows, the in-betweens, and whatever it is the connection that is going to build those bridges from where people are exactly to where they need to be, which is connected. So thank you so much, everyone that has tuned in today. We will, of course, close this out properly with the honoring. But I do want to say, it's just lots of verbalization, lots of conversation can get one distracted from the truth. The truth is always inside, and we're going to go ahead and bring this into the right place. So I would ask that anybody that is still on the line, because sometimes people jump off right when the honorings take place, to close the space properly. It would be like, they have this banishing ritual thing going on in magic. That comes from when you enter into a space, you always close the space properly. Same thing with ceremonies. So if you could participate in the closing of the space, it's always great because it allows you to clean your energy, to cut improper cords to things that are still lingering, especially stuff that you've already moved through. And so it allows us to dial into that space and to really bring that. And so that is, to me, the most important thing. The end is just as important as the beginning. So Mark, if you want to go ahead and bring us into that collective space and also bringing these beautiful souls into the realization of our connection with each other, but also standing strong and powerful now. Like, remember, there's distractions and there's all sorts of things in the midst trying to move us away from what we truly are, as I said in the recording earlier. So it's important for us all to remember we have this space now. This is not remote control. We are live. We are doing this. We put energy into this. We push through. Even, I kid you not, everyone on this line, 5 minutes before the show, we thought we wouldn't be able to broadcast the show all of a sudden. And I know what all that energy is related to, and just to see the power that it moves through and pushes that all out the way on the new moon, I'm telling you, that is the most important thing. So also to the key makers and the guests that came on, Naya delivering the music, those who are working behind the scenes, Sven and also Wijaby, Monica, those that are in the chat, the moderators, Wendy, doing amazing things. And then also remember, like, we never do anything wrong or make mistakes. We only look at things that we may be able to improve. Don't let anything suck this energy out of you when you get up off this line. Because remember, you're going back out there. And this is the equivalent of leaving the ayahuasca journey for 2 weeks and going back to New York. Gird yourself and know that your vibration changes things. And know also that you can always connect with us. There's somebody where you are. And if not, if you don't see the portal, be the person that's bringing this into your space. So thank you so much. You're beautiful and you are loved and you're acknowledged.
Aho.
Aho.
I feel like that's the honoring right there.
Yeah, there it is. Our wholeness. Let's take some breaths.
Let's take some deep breaths. Let's get ourselves centered with our soles of our feet on the ground, rooted to the earth. Give thanks for the moment. Give thanks for all that's come forward in this moment tonight. Give thanks for every being coming forward in their transparency and their clarity, coming forward for the healing, us ancestors. So let's take a deep breath in the nose, acknowledging all that's come forward, and exhale through the mouth, trusting that the healing goes on its way. Inhale and release. Inhale Release. Let us allow our palms to rest, facing the sky, facing the ceiling, on our thighs or on our knees. As we clear this space, just know again that we have this flame with us, purifying the space. Inhale. Giving thanks for the impetus of change, stimulus, purification, for healing. Allow your awareness to gently rest at your heart space. Just processing everything that's come forward in full digestion, full comprehension. Feel your heart soften, your shoulders soften, elbows soften, wrists soften. Feel those ribs soften as you breathe. Feel your third eye soften, that pineal gland, pituitary gland soften. The brow soften as you breathe deeply and gently. Just feel all the awareness of what has come forward. Just be received into your heart space for that centered processing. Inhale, letting that belly fill with air gently. Exhale, everything go. Really enjoy the breath. Really enjoy this moment that we share here together. Remember that your vibration changes things. During this new moon time, it goes with the force of your will, of your knowing, of all that you have available to you. So as you breathe, just remember we access this space beyond time in this now moment. Trusting that all spatials of self are processing, tuned into the highest possible outcomes, timelines merging to those moments beyond time. That our hearts are grounded on this plane, grounded to make the change that we need, connecting. And so we give thanks for the element of fire, for this purification, this change, this transmutation, this impetus, the stimulus for growth, the heat, the pressure, encouraging us to grow. We give thanks for the earth that supports us as we coalesce into our proper positions on this plane. We give thanks to the earth, the stone, the crystals, the rocks, the mineral kingdom, trees, as we can always go into nature and receive this essence, knowing that within this physical structure we are nature. We have it within us, this resonance, within our bones, the minerals, the salts in our blood, in our cells, conducting this energy. Give thanks for the element of water, these healing waters. And as we breathe, we give thanks for the air. Feel fresh, anew, renewed, refreshed. So as we honor the air, breathe in through that nose, take in all the air you can through that belly, and release. We give thanks for the divine masculine, divine feminine forces within us and around us, knowing that we all contain this fundamental essence. Between man and woman, there is this uniqueness and emphasis that we honor deeply, we cherish. And we honor our women, we honor our men, and we honor the children. And it's to this progression that we serve, the balance on this planet. We serve as husbandmen on this planet, in this collective garden, watering this creation that we share. Let smaller self tendencies step aside. Let your highest, most balanced aspects step forward. In all your endeavors, all your connections. Aho.
Aho.
Remember this flame, even as you open your eyes. Still the same, still present. Ancestors still with us. Always with us ancestors. Aho. You may flutter your eyes open gently, millimeter by millimeter. Give thanks. Love.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Mark. Gratitude.
Gratitude. Thank
Yes.
you all on this line.
And
Yes,
thank you
much
so
love.
much, tribe. Everyone connected to the line, know that you have participated tonight.
Brother Bomar,
in the cosmic
we
healing.
would love to hear you with the unmute.
Oh,
button.
you guys can't hear me. Excuse me. Everybody else can. A wholeness and balance vibrations, everyone. Thank you so much, tribe members. Everyone connected to this line, know that you have participated in the global healing and the cosmic healing that has taken place. Thank you so much, Keymakers. Also, for those viewing the line, do take a moment to hit your like, your share, your subscribe buttons. It does help. It truly assists in allowing this message to get to others. Also, the Keymakers will be coming forward in 2 weeks. We need about a week off so we can construct what we have, because we want to be mindful that we're going into the new year and have that specifically prepared for us so we can synchronistically continue to grow. This is a beautiful connection. This is beyond words. And just to be a part of this and to see it reach this stage is magnificent. Thank you so much for being you, and know that you're connected to us beyond time and space, truly. Wholeness.